evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Virtual Thunder Valley, the Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm Ian Fisher, and tonight on 3YTV, we bring to you the Fisher Disc Golf Bolt Jet 100 on the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks League. Like I mentioned before, we're at the Bristol Motor Speedway. This half-mile racetrack is known for bumping and banging and close racing, but this is a little bit different this week. We are on the dirt configuration, and the dirt configuration was changed from the last year here on iRacing. There's a little bit more progressive banking in the track as well. Last week, we saw John Cannizzaro Jr. strike back for redemption on the twists and turns of Watkins Glen after the heartbreaking defeat he saw in the final laps from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Will we see Cannizzaro continue his winning ways, the dirt specialist, or will one of our veteran drivers like JD Lear or Jason Gracias regain a spot in victory lane? Again, I'm your host, Ian Fisher, and joining me in the booth tonight is Carlos Acosta, running the boards and maybe chiming in with a thought or two here and there. Again, our race is presented by Stay Tuned Sports, and this is the Fisher Disc Golf Bolt Jet Charters 100. Our drivers are just wrapping up their practice session here, and during the practice session, we saw a lot of these drivers spinning out, really trying to master this dirt track, and it's a tricky track to race at. Really, you have to run all the way up by the wall if you hope to have any kind of speed whatsoever, and if not, the bottom is only going to be for passing here tonight. So you'll see these drivers up against the wall, trying to get those two rear tires as close to the wall as they can, but getting those tires as close to the wall can spell trouble. If you happen to hit your rear end off of there and bounce up into the wall, you're going to be in a lot of trouble there, Carlos. And I don't know if you have any picks for tonight, but my eyes are on John Cannizzaro Jr., the dirt ace, if you will, of total nonstop racing. And really, I think it's going to be his race tonight.
I know next to nothing, so I'm going to go with JT Poole because he's second in the standings right now.
That's always a good pick, you know what I mean? Just pick some guy that's at the top of the board and hope for the best. These drivers, as I mentioned earlier, are just finishing up their practice session here, and you can see the 26 truck here up against the wall like we talked about earlier, and really that's where you're going to find your speed all night long. This track doesn't really rubber in, per se. You kind of more just lose the moisture in the track, and the track becomes drier as these drivers will continue throughout the night. We're going to be qualifying here in a few minutes. I believe our qualifying session is going to be one lap tonight, which is a little bit interesting, and it's going to be tough for these drivers, Carlos. They're only going to have one shot to put down that fast lap time, so we might see a little bit of a crazy grid here to start our race.
I expect to see half the drivers not even put up a lap time. With there only being one lap, they may hit the wall.
Yeah, and I agree, because, you know, on iRacing, if you barely tap that wall, even if it's a 0x for contact, your lap time's going to be invalidated. The drivers right now are headed into the drivers' meeting, but a few of them still here trying to get as many laps as they possibly can on the racetrack, and it's going to be a very difficult track here. It's a half mile, like I mentioned earlier, but this new configuration we have on iRacing has more progressive banking, so down towards the bottom of the track, you're going to see banking as 16 degrees, but up towards the wall, you're going to see banking as high as 20 degrees, and that's why these drivers try to get as close as they can to that to that wall while racing on the dirt surface here. Like I said, you're only going to see passing on the bottom of the track, and you might see the good old slide job, as Dale Jr. Is so fond of. And a few storylines we're watching tonight is, like I said, John Cannizzaro strikes back in the closing laps after Bill Edwards at the Nashville Speedway kind of laid the bumper to him a little bit. So you got to think John Cannizzaro Jr. is really happy to get back at victory lane, especially after he had a race, probably in his opinion, stolen away from him here, as it seems like we have some drivers taking their qualifying runs right now. This looks like the 26 truck of, let's see here, the 26 truck is not on my stat sheet. So it's JD Poole, actually. So gonna see him running around, and we also see, it looks like that's Adam Williams in the 78 truck, our Fisher Disc Golf Bolt Jet truck here. And now we're looking at I don't know, Kevin Powder now on the track, and we might get on one of these cars here, Carlos, so maybe get a wrap around this challenging dirt track these drivers are going to be racing on tonight, and we're on board now. As you can see, the banking kind of changes from bottom to top, so these drivers are going to be challenged all night long trying to find the place where the most speed is going to be on this track. Once the track starts to slick up a little bit, like I said, you got to go harder and higher on the track surface to kind of find any grip. So let's just kind of take a lap here and see what it's like around Bristol Motor Speedway.
Very obvious that our good friend Jimbo here is still trying to figure this track out. As he's acting to use some more practice time during his qualifying. So we're not going to be seeing a fast lap from him, although he is currently 5th fastest, as he's electing to just familiarize himself with the track just a little bit further.
Yeah, and if this is something you've never raced on before, racing on the dirt surface, it's really good to get as many of those practice laps as you can. This is a very difficult race, and talking to a lot of the drivers here in our Total Nonstop Racing League, this is one that was on their calendars maybe to take a vacation week or two, Carlos, and say, no, I'm all right. And this is a very challenging part of the schedule as well. Last week we were at Watkins Glen, which saw John Cannizzaro win his first race of the season, and now we're at Bristol Dirt. But next week, Carlos, we're back to
Excuse
the
me?
road course racing at Lime Rock Park, and I don't know about you, but that's going to be exciting, especially in our trucks here.
I've never seen Lime Rock host the trucks before, so it's going to be an interesting. It'll be an interesting race. I think it's going to be the first time I'll ever broadcast Lime Rock, um, since I started 3-Way TV. So yeah, that'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what configuration they plan on using at Lime Rock yet, but if they use the configuration that they use in the Formula V races that I've raced on here, there is going to be a left and right chicane that is challenging to say the least, with some huge bumps on the track. So it's going to be very interesting to see those drivers navigate around Lime Rock Park. But we are here tonight at Bristol Dirt, and we're going to see what's going to happen here. We're going to have 100 laps, and 100 laps leads us to around 53, maybe call it 54 miles. So not a very long race here. It's and these drivers should be good on fuel all the way to the end. I know they have the 80% fuel tank, but doing some testing last night, I am not. I really don't think that they're gonna have to make a fuel stop. Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong here. And I believe they have one extra set of tires. The dirt wear, or I'm sorry, the wear on the tires with the dirt track isn't as much as you'd see maybe at Bristol in the asphalt configuration where we were at earlier this season. And earlier this year, when we were at Bristol, we saw Mike Floppy Tellier take his first win of the season. Our only multiple time winner here in this season so far is Jason Gracias. So John Cannizzaro is going to be looking to say, add his name to the list as I take a look at the standings here. Jason Gracias, with those 2 wins, gives him a 19-point advantage over Mike Floppy Tellier. But going further down our leaderboard here, John Cannizzaro is really nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if the points just haven't updated. Oh, there he is. He's down right here, and it looks
I
like
think he
he's no, that's
missed a
senior.
race or two, did he not?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, I know he's really into the big block trucks, so I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in the trucks here tonight from Bristol Dirt. Um, Kind of a smaller grid than we're used to seeing, Carlos. I don't know if it's the dirt racing or just schedules conflicting, but we're gonna have a smaller field than we're normally used to seeing here on the Tuesday night Thunder trucks. So really going to be anybody's race to win here. And I always keep saying that John Cannizzaro has this one in the bag almost, but anything can happen, especially in the high ranks of Bristol Motor Speedway.
Ever since Dirt came out, the excitement for the majority of the drivers, and I'm not talking about the true Dirt fans because they're still excited about it. They still race competitively, but for the regular casual racers who probably haven't really seen much of Dirt action, a lot of excitement has waned ever since it's been released, and with the added difficulty of driving in the dirt in general, but also with these trucks, it is gonna show for a lower truck count than usual, which we have seen this week. Or of course, road courses next week will also kind of lower that, but we should be seeing more trucks next week, and then when we're back to ovals, we should be seeing the majority of the field getting back out there on track as we have just over 4 minutes remaining in qualifying, as I'm assuming the drivers are using this time to meditate and or do drivers meeting, as actually I think I see Maher out on track.
Yeah, it looks like Thuggy Maher here, I think, is the last driver to make his qualifying run in that beautiful 17 truck. But I believe everybody else has put up a time or ran their laps and hit the wall, as we were talking about earlier, Carlos, and haven't put down a lap time. And yeah, I believe Tristan Thuggy Maher is the last one here to put down a lap time. So let's see if he can steal a late pole position.
I think he already put his lap time in. I'm seeing 0 remaining. Take a look. Did this one count? No, it seems like he already ran his lap. He's just doing some practice laps at the moment. Whatever his first lap was, it got invalidated. But if I'm gonna look at the sectors that were shown, he could have been fast enough to be in the top 2.
Yeah, we know Tristan Thuggy Maher, no stranger to these trucks, but possibly a stranger to these trucks on dirt. And really, it's just going to be an exciting race from start to finish. It might be a chaotic race, to say the least, as we saw Tristan there getting his practice laps in, spun there. And we saw a lot of drivers in practice spin, get up into the wall, and you really want to pin it to the wall to get the most speed that you possibly can. But there's going to be I would say there's going to be a few yellow flags here tonight, Carlos, if I had to take a guess myself.
I expect there to be a couple yellows, probably not as many as we think we're gonna get. But it should still relatively be a quick enough race.
Yeah, and that's also true as well. When you're qualifying and trying to put down that fastest lap time, or maybe in practice, you're trying to find all the speed that you possibly can. So you're maybe pushing the truck a little bit harder than you normally would. But once the green flag drops for the race, you usually see a lot of drivers. Everybody wants to do as well as they can, but everybody wants to finish the race as well because the points championship is still on the line. Jason Gracias has a 19-point lead over Mike Floppy Tellier. And then William Edwards, 35 points back, is your top 3. Kevin Stone, 65 points back. Connor Berry in the 5th spot, 67 points back. Josh Edmondson, 74 points back, tied with Tristan Thuggy Maher, 4-6. Keaton Swain going to be 75 points back. And then some guy named Ian Fisher is somehow still in the top 10 in points, and he is 84 points out, which I have no idea how I'm still in the top 10 in points, honestly. I missed 2 races, almost 3 races now, if you want to count my early exit from Nashville. So somehow still hanging on to a top 10 in points here on Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks. Pretty excited about that, Carlos.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're still running in the top 10. It'll be interesting to see if we can still stay in the top 10 after this race. It may not be too late for you to hop on in here and then commentate while you race.
That's not the worst idea I've ever heard, just a live in the car feed. But I was running a few practice laps yesterday to try to get an idea of what fuel mileage would be and what tire wear would be on this half-mile track. And I spun maybe 8 or 9 times. So these guys that are fighting for a championship, I would hate to get in their way. But a few of our front runners also in the series are not going to be here tonight. Connor Berry, as I mentioned earlier, sitting in 5th points. I'm sorry, 5th in our points championship's not going to be here. And I haven't seen Josh Edmondson either. So some of these guys that are farther down the running order have a chance here to pick up a few vital spots going into Lime Rock Park, which is also going to be interesting to see where the points lie after Lime Rock. And then we get back to some normal racing. After Lime Rock, we have Talladega, Texas Motor Speedway, Richmond Raceway, Five Flags Speedway, and then our finale, of course, will be at the Phoenix Raceway. So once we get through this stretch of 3 or 4 races or so, I think we're going to see a lot more trucks and we're going to see a lot more drivers really battling it out for this championship hunt. But if you're trying to go for that championship, these 3 races are vital to put yourself. It's really, you talk about in golf, they talk about score separators. And I think these 3 races and these 3 weeks here are kind of our score separators as far as the championship points battle goes, Carlos, because really it tests all your skills. Tests your road racing, it tests your dirt racing, it tests your short track racing, and really the only thing we haven't seen in this little 3 to 4 week span, except for after Lime Rock, is a super speedway, and we're going to see that at Talladega on June 14th. So should be an interesting run all the way to Phoenix.
I agree. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at tonight's starting grid?
Sounds like a great idea here. We got on the pole position, we have JT Poole running a 20.2, so that's going to be the fastest lap time of the night. John Canizaro Jr. right behind him with 20.223, so right on his bumper. Adam Williams is going to be 3rd in the 78 car. We've got Jeff Price in the 14 car, going to be rolling off in the 4th position. Kevin Powder out of the great state of Ohio in 5th, and Andrew Beach Mister, I don't know if that's what he's trying to say there, is going to be in the 71. We've got, we have good Jimbo tonight, so we'll see what happens in the 7th spot. P8's going to be John Eckhart, the 4th, I believe. That's the 4th, if my Roman numerals are correct. John Cannizzaro Sr. rolling off in the 9th position. Of course, the father to John Cannizzaro Jr. Jason Gracias in the 1 car are going to be P10. Mike Floppy Tellier, P11. Scott Crump, P12. Tristan Thuggy Maher, P13. And Cody Sandlin in the 9 truck, P14. That's going to round out our short and small grid here tonight. The pace car lights are out here, so we're going to be going green this time. And I'm sure all these drivers in the trucks, as Larry McReynolds would put it, we're going to be pulling those belts tight one more time coming to the green flag here as we get ready to get started from the Bristol Motor Speedway in the dirt configuration. Should be one heck of a race, Carlos.
I thought he set that for caution restarts, not green flag starts at the race.
Yeah, I mean, the pace truck dives into the safety of pit road.
And we
These
move
drivers
on.
are going to be waiting from the green flag. And we are green from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. 100 laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Our lap counter says 150, so I'm not exactly sure. Okay, I guess we are going for 150 laps. So ignore everything I said earlier. It's going to be 150 laps, not 100 laps. That was a little commentator's curse for myself there on the lap count. And all these drivers managing to make it through pretty nicely through turn 1. We're watching the 78 truck here on Adam Williams, and now we're on board with him now, trying to catch down P1 and P2. John Cannizzaro made the early move to the lead, and really no surprise there. He's going to be one to watch all night long, and if you're going to win at this track, you got to beat him, Carlos.
It must have been an error making the actual server, because the schedule does list 100 miles, 100. Sorry, 100 laps, not 100 miles. I apologize. But either way, I'm sure no one's going to complain about 50 extra laps. It's going to add to some more excitement as, we move on. So far, a couple green flag lap runs already in. I'm already struggling with my words, and we're not even 5 laps into this race.
You know, words are hard, especially the English language and the lexicon of everything. We got 1 car up in the wall, it looks like, but I think everything's going to be okay as we get a great overhead shot here from our Stay Tuned Sports blimp. Right now, John Cannizzaro still in the lead. JT Poole in 2nd, Adam Williams in 3rd, Jeff Price in 4th, and John Cannizzaro Sr. has made his way up to the 5th spot right now, and that's your running order as we go. Still green here. It looks like it was yellow, but that's going to trick me all night long, Carlos, because it looks like these trucks are traveling around at pace speed, but no, this is going to be race speed at Bristol Dirt all night long.
Yeah, they're going to be struggling all day, and what I think the hardest part is going to be of this race is not going to be the corners, but it's going to be the middle section on the straightaways after you get off the corner, where your car's going to be slinking down into the inside, and you're going to try to correct it back to the outside to set yourself up for the next corner. That's where you're going to be seeing the majority of the mistakes, the majority of the time where people are going to either spin out, make contact with somebody else, or lose a lot of speed by just getting off the throttle to kind of get themselves resorted and getting back in position. Already 8 laps into this 150-mile race, and our good friend Jimbo is struggling so far. Unfortunately, he's already down 1 lap.
Yeah, and these things will happen when you're on a track where, you know, the fast lap time is 20 seconds. Things can happen in a hurry, really easy to go 1 lap down, especially if you spin or get into the wall, or really maybe if you're just not quite comfortable with the track yet. And a lot of these drivers don't frequently race on dirt. We've got a lot of good oval racers here, but that doesn't translate automatically over to the dirt and the high banks here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But something I've been noticing so far, Carlos, is all of these drivers they're not running up on that high line just yet. You see some guys going down to the middle, you see some guys going all the way down to the bottom, so varying styles here in the early laps at Bristol.
And that is something you will be seeing early on into this race, but as the track dries out and the line moves up, everybody's going to be running that outside line, and that's when passing is going to get even more difficult.
Yeah, we watch now on the 3-wide TV multicam. We got a little bit of a battle here with the 71 car of
that is Andrew Beach.
Is in the 71
Mr. Andrew
car.
Beach.
Mr. Andrew Beach. Okay, that's what was happening in the
SDK.
yeah, exactly. Just switching the Mister to the end there, and that was throwing me off. So Mr. Andrew Beach in the 71 car, kind of holding off a challenge from Kevin Powder right now, and this is the most exciting battle we have on the racetrack right now. John Canizaro's kind of opened himself up to a 2.5 lead over JD Poole, and Adam Williams falling off shortly, and we see a one car into the wall here. I think that's the 97 car of Mike Floppy Tellier. Back in the Hello Kitty paint, I heard there was
caution is off for our good friend Jimbo.
Jimbo brings out the yellow. I'm going to pull a page out of Garrett Gleason's book and say no surprises there for Jimbo to take out the yellow, but I don't mean anything by that, Jimbo. I'm just trying to keep the normal taste of the broadcast going there. As we see, he just got into the wall there and really, that's why the yellow came out, because once he came off the wall, he just kind of went down to the wall there and then stuck. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's going to bring out the yellow here on lap number 13. Unlucky lap 13. We're under yellow for the first time, and
are cautions disabled? Yeah, cautions are disabled. Oh, sorry, caution laps do not count. So we're gonna have 150 green flag laps.
Well, that is going to be interesting, as well as we see the 90 car of Mr. Crump there on pit lane as well, and it looks like after that wall contact, Mike Floppy Tellier is going to come down pit lane as well. Now, tire strategy shouldn't be the biggest thing here at the Bristol dirt track, and I believe, like I said, I may be wrong on this, but I believe all these drivers can make it on fuel. So the only reason you're really going to have to come down pit road is going to be to fix damage, like we've seen our drivers that are on pit road now doing. Jimbo, of course, in the wreck, and then Jason Gracias got into the wall a little bit earlier, as we saw. Cody Sandlin also on pit road, and Mike Floppy Tellier on pit road as well in the Hello Kitty truck. And as I was saying before the caution came out, Carlos, there's a little bit of controversy last week. Mike Floppy Tellier decided not to race his normal Hello Kitty paint, and there was some people asking for some penalties to be leveled against the old Hello Kitty car there. What are your thoughts?
Let's just say my thoughts are immense and complicated, and it's hard for me to describe. AKA, I was working on something and was not paying attention to what you said.
Well, that's okay. We know you got to be running the boards as well as helping me out in the commentary booth as well. And Bob Giaquinto and Garrett Gleason should be back next week, so you only have to suffer through me and Carlos for a week, luckily, Carlos, because the normal pipes of the voice of Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, Bob Giaquinto, unfortunately could not be here. Garrett Gleason, we might see an appearance from later in the race, but right now he's caught up with some obligations. Just wanted to give a shout out to those guys and thank them for not being here so I can be in the booth with you tonight, Carlos.
Yeah, well said. Well said as well. We are not quite yet 1 to green, but we should be getting there soon. I'm not sure why we're doubled up, though. It was throwing me off a little. I was worried that I was getting disconnected when I saw these trucks going side by side, but not getting the 1 to green.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what is happening there. Maybe just some guys kind of hyped up a little bit and getting themselves ready for the race. I know Adam Williams is quite used to racing on oval, so he might just know that he's on the inside line. And of course, we have the choose rule from the leader there, so the leader gets to choose the high or low lane, and then everybody else files in based on their position, which I like that rule, Carlos. It's a pretty good rule. It doesn't make everybody go for the choose, which of course would be chaotic, but definitely gives you an advantage there if you can hold on to the lead of this race heading into cautions.
I did an all-star race a couple weeks ago for another league that I broadcast, and they actually tried out the choose cone for the all-star race for a specific stage of it, and I gotta say, it actually worked out pretty smoothly, so I think it could be implemented even without it being official for my racing.
Pace truck's going to dive into the safety of pit road again, and an early start here from John Canizaro Jr. We're already back to green flag racing, going to dive into turn 1, and really just magnificent to see the way that he navigates the trucks around the high banks of Bristol here. And again, we see a whole bunch of drivers. Looks like we have a little bit of trouble in the back, but it looks like they're going to be able to figure it out. But we see these drivers looking for all they can on the restarts, going in the high lane, going in the middle lane, going in the low lane, and really trying to just avoid as many drivers as you can and try to snake as many positions off the restart as well, because once this race gets spread out a little bit, it's just going to be harder and harder for these drivers to make up positions, Carlos.
Not only that, but as the track dries up, as the 14 is up against the outside wall, the track dries up. I mentioned earlier, the grip goes away, and this track is not forgiving. You make mistakes and people get to your outside, you can kiss that position goodbye.
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind as well too. If you're running down towards the bottom in the early parts of this race, you're kind of wearing out that bottom line if you need to make that slider pass later in the race. So kind of a little bit of a catch-22 there where you can run the bottom, as Rusty Wallace always says, the shortest way around is the fastest way around. As we see two trucks there getting a little bit squirrely coming down the front stretch, they're able to hang on to it. Looks like that's the 14, the Price, and the 17 of Tristan Thuggy Maher. And this is a great battle right here, Carlos. Both of these guys just giving it all they can.
Yeah, it's the first battle in terms of position going on so far, as the top 5 appear to be single filed right now. Actually, excuse me, the top 6 appear to be single file. Everybody else is behind them is either single file or getting ready to start to finish a battle, as already 18 laps into this race. A couple laps in from the first race of the night, and we're already seeing the field spread out. As as the further they go, the lack of cautions, or the chances of cautions coming out, are going to be further decreased.
Yeah, it's so easy to self-spin at this racetrack, but you're absolutely right. It's easier to focus on your line and run your race when you don't have somebody down on your inside and the spotter hollering at you inside, 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 or outside, outside the entire race, as we watch the 26 car here of JD Pool. And I'd be struggling with names all night long because the stat sheet that I have is not in numerical order, so I have to search up and down for every single car number. We also do have the ticker at the top of our screen, which I'm sure everybody watching along at home is paying close attention to. Right now, it's showing the last lap times of our drivers, and getting in the 20s, a little bit in the 21s, and Mike Floppy-Tellier all the way back there in 10th, running some fast laps, trying to work his way back up through the field early, Carlos.
Yeah, that's true. As I think we're starting to see some cars start to battle up once again. Let me see if I can focus on them. As oh yeah, right there, the number 90 of Scott Crump and John Canizaro Sr. are starting to battle up together. As it looks like that number 90 may have some right side damage. Of course, I predict by the end of the night, a majority of these trucks, if not all, are going to be up against the wall at some point. And, a track like this, it's not really going to matter as long as you don't do any major suspension damage. These trucks are tough, and they should be able to hold out no matter how hard you hit them. I'm not much of a dirt racer. I've only done it for fun. Haven't actually done it in a league event. Of course, I'm mostly retired from league racing at this point. But my question to you would be, how do you approach the corners for this? What's your preferred way of driving these lines? As a 20 almost gave it too much beans, but he saved it.
Yeah, and you really got to watch out there. If you get loose, and he's still fighting that car and trying to get it back, a big slide job up in front of the 90 car. They make contact. The 20 is he's gonna go around onto pit road. Not sure if that's gonna bring out the caution since he got to pit road. Looks like we're gonna stay green. But you asked earlier, Carlos. Oh, now the yellow is gonna come out because he pulled back on the track. And
not sure how the league officials are gonna like that one.
Yeah, that's not the greatest move that we've ever seen here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, and kind of understandable where you want to get back on the track as much as you can, and he probably thought that he could spin himself around and keep going, but yeah, that's going to bring out our second caution of the night, lap 25 here, and yeah, that's a bold strategy, Cotton, if I'm going to quote Dodgeball here for a second, Carlos.
Oh, that was the quote. Oh, I thought you were going to say more.
Oh, yeah, no, that was, I guess, a bold strategy, Cotton, but your name isn't Cotton, it's Carlos, so I wanted to drop that one on you there. But some chat going on over the driver's chat, a little bit of what was that, and yeah, something you don't really see very often there on pit road is somebody spinning and then trying to get back out on the racetrack like that. As I was saying, he probably thought he could just get himself spun around and keep going, but that is going to bring out our second caution of the night. And you're asking about how I enter the turns here, Carlos? I have no idea, man. That's why I'm up here in the booth with you. So you said you're retired from sim racing. I would say I'm probably semi-retired at this point. Leave it to the fast guys. I just go out there and turn laps and kind of hope that everybody crashes in front of me and I can back myself into a win.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't have the time anymore for me to actually make a commitment to continuously run in leagues and go for wins and good finishes. So unfortunately, that part of my life for the time being has been put on pause unless I am able to find more time in the day or maybe have less hours of working time. Of course, that part would be difficult without getting paid more, but for the time being, I'm fine broadcasting races. I like doing this. And yeah, I haven't run too much dirt stuff. I do know that you really don't want to be sliding it, contrary to what you see out there. The more time you slide, the slower you are. You really just want to approach it and drive it as straight as you can, not spin the tires. And there's going to be some natural slide movements, but the less you slide, the faster you go.
Yeah, and you know, with normal oval racing, you drive the car with the wheel, and of course, we all know we drive the car with the wheel. But what I mean by that is when you're out here on the dirt tracks, you kind of find yourself driving the car more with the throttle. You kind of throw it in there and then modulate and feather the throttle, and that's how you get the car rotated. And as you said, Carlos, you really want to keep the car as straight as you possibly can because not only does it help you take input out of the wheel. When your tires are straight, that's going to be the most power you can put down on the racetrack. So the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you're going to be all throughout the night.
Well said. 25 laps into this race, we've already had our second caution. One retiree, our good friend Jimbo, has retired from the race course. We saw it happen earlier. Hit the wall, and then his truck got sent all the way to the inside, got stuck in Pear Road, and decided, yeah, it's probably best I stay out. And unfortunately, I've been in that situation where I just don't feel like I'm comfortable or safe enough to be out there on the track. Uh, so yeah, early night for a good friend Jimbo, as second caution coming out for a not really a spin, but more of trying to get back on track for Canizaro Senior. There, after he gave it just a little bit too much beans and then made contact with a accidental slide job as pace car's coming off. We're about to go back green for the second or third time of the night.
Green flag racing again here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, and just the launch that John Canizaro Jr. gets off of all these restarts is really something to behold. I don't know what it is, if he just knows the place to start here on Bristol Dirt or what, but he just launches away from the rest of the field, already out to about a half-second lead here, and kind of getting closer now as JT Poole starts to reel him in a little bit. But there's a battle here for second place with Adam Williams. He's looking to the inside of Poole right now. He's going to have to make that pass happen quickly, though, or the momentum of the outside line is just going to eat him up, Carlos.
78 is trying hard to get as close as he can to him, but JT Poole has also caught up to the back bumper of John Canizaro Jr. We saw his father going for a spin to bring out the caution as we have a brand new race leader, JT Poole, with the slide job, maybe giving it a little too much beans on the outside line as the number 12 is taking the lead as we have another spin in the back.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure who got back in the lead there right now in our timing tower. So it's John Canizaro in the lead, but JT Poole ran that slide job to perfection as we see what happened here. Looks like the 12 car again just having all kinds of problems all night. And,
the 12 just got the lead. That's the wrong driver.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Just a little bit of help there. And yeah, once you get those tires upset, you're going to go around here. I don't know if he got Mike Floppy Tellier there as well, but caused the 18 car to spin, just trying to miss the wreck there of Daniel Capriano. And that's going to bring out another caution here. Some drivers coming down pit road. The 78 of Adam Williams is down, and a few other drivers. So interesting to see the strategies here on pit road. Like I said, I didn't think that tires are going to be much of a concern, or fuel is going to be much of a concern, but we keep seeing drivers going down pit road, so they must know something that I don't.
I'm not sure why these guys are going down pit road. You're not going to gain anything from it. You're not getting more fuel. You're not changing tires. At least you shouldn't be. As far as I remember, iRacing wouldn't even let you do any of that. I may be wrong. Maybe they've changed it, but yeah, people are going down pit road. Not sure why. I mean, they only have one set of tires, but even then, it's not going to matter. So it's a little confusing as we only ran a handful. I think we only ran about 4 laps there before the caution came out after the 20 made contact with Scott Crump. And then trying to kind of check up a little bit, we saw John Eckert spin himself out. Thankfully, avoiding Scott Crump, but it was barely avoided.
Yeah, my apologies there to the 18 car. I was looking at P18 from last week, which is Daniel Capriano, but that, of course, is not who was in the 18 truck. It is John Eckhart, I believe, in the 18 truck. So try to get that going as much as we can. And I'm going to ask Bob if I can get a list of numbers that are actually in numerical order here, because this is confusing having them all based on the position of last week. But, I also want to give a shout out to Bob for preparing these stats for us each and every week, and really appreciate it. It helps you when I make my notes, and really just a good guy all around, and really a great broadcaster. I don't know why I'm even up here trying to fill in for him. It's kind of just amateur hour up here in the 3Y TV booth tonight, Carlos.
Yes, indeed. I'm gonna try to help you out with that, so I need you to keep on talking.
Yeah, I can talk. I can definitely do that, so it's not a problem. I'm gonna go check and see if we've got anybody in the chat here. We got Stay Tuned Sports, of course, Jimbo. Let's see here. He's saying that fuel, I believe, it only took us to 100, maybe a couple laps more. With 150, more than likely need fuel. That's actually a very good point. Yeah, I was running all of my calculations on 100 laps of racing, but yeah, with 150 laps, now that I seem to remember it, I think it was like 130 to 139 is the fuel window that you had here on these trucks. And yeah, actually, that does involve a little bit of pit strategy here with the 150 laps we have now instead of the 100 that we thought it was going to be. These guys actually can't make it all the way to the end on fuel, so that might be why we're seeing some of these drivers pit now, Carlos.
Yes, that's true. I'm still working on something.
No, you're absolutely fine. We also have Nate and Gecko Ramsey in the chat as well. He said that this has lasted longer than I would have, and yeah, Gecko, I can agree with you right there. And he also suggested maybe the drivers are going in for repairs as we go back to green flag racing. John Cannizzaro Jr. again with a great jump off the top side, able to dive down in turn one. Let's see if JT has anything for him this time around. You saw him get to the inside and try that slide job earlier in the race, and let's see if he can get it back again. Just letting the sounds of racing here as we see almost a 3-wide battle here. It looks like that's going to be for 6th, 7th, and 8th place. It's going to be Crump, Powder, and Williams there. Williams trying to go 3 wide in the middle. That's again, we're seeing bold strategies all over the track tonight, and it looks like Adams is going to make that outside line stick now and set his sights on Mr. Scott Crump there in the 90 car. Again, Williams to the inside. He's going to get a 2-for-1 here. Going to slide up in front of Tristan Thuggy Maher, and that was a little bit of a courtesy lift there from Tristan, I think. He was right on the bumper of the 78 truck. Could have gave him a little bump there, and when you have your wheels sideways, it is so easy to spin that car around. But, Williams possibly with the one set of tires that he took there on that last pit stop is really making his way up through the field here. He's going to move now to the outside of John Cannizzaro Sr. That's going to be for 5th spot, and now he's chasing down Jason Gracias for that 3rd position. He's going to make that pass work as well. He's just absolutely flying up through the field right now and really has something for these leaders here. As we see a change for the lead, JT Poole is going to take the lead away from John Cannizzaro Jr., and Cannizzaro now is going to be chasing, and we saw JT getting there and getting there and getting there, and he's still there on the inside. We'll see what he does here. Dives all the way down to the bottom, tries to slide up in front of the 26 truck. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Yes, he will. He will be able to, but the 26 has the inside line now. Is going to go back at the 12, and this is just a great battle for the lead up here, Carlos.
This indeed is. I am essentially done. So if you look at the chat on the Tuesday truck broadcast, I have aligned them numerically.
Oh, why, thank you, sir. That is so kind of you, actually. Look at that. Just excellent producer things going around, and that is so much more helpful, right? I appreciate it. Everything you do for us here, not only producing the races, but also doing some last-second statistician work here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck League as We are now clicking away. Lap 36 now going to be lap 37 here. And we aren't even halfway through this race yet. We've saw about 3 or 4 cautions. Going to be interesting to see what happens to these trucks once we get a long green flag run, if we get a long green flag run, with Canizaro again looking to the inside of Poole. He's going to try to hold that bottom line this time. You saw all of our drivers sliding up, but he's going to hold the bottom line. That's going to allow Poole in the 26 to take the outside line and take the momentum back. And look who's in the back of both of these guys. Adam Williams now all the way up to third, only 0.3 of a second back, and he says he wants part of this battle for the lead as well. So these guys racing in front of him just makes it easier and easier for him to catch up to this lead battle. And this is the best battle on the racetrack right now, the battle for first, second, and third. And Gecko in the chat says 78 with the power moves. That is indeed what's going on right now. Fought his way all the way back up through the field and is now chasing Lee's leaders down. Adam Williams has been very competitive so far in our Tuesday Night Thunder Truck League, but has just been the victim of a bad luck, it seems like, every single week. But he's right on the bumper of the 12 car and looking for more, Carlos.
Yeah, I was curious to see what would happen when the two leaders are battling side by side. And of course, we saw Adam Williams kind of gaining a little bit on the two of them. But since then, JT Poole has kind of essentially spread himself out a little bit, almost 3/4 of a second ahead of Canizaro Jr. there in the number 12, as the 12 kind of seems to, at least in my opinion, hold back the number 78 a little. I think the 78 could be fast enough to get to the back of the 26, but with the way things are going and the fact that the 78 can't really do anything now that all the trucks are starting to migrate up to the high side and the sun is starting to set, it's going to be interesting to see what can happen and what the 78 can do.
And you see these drivers as we're on board with the 78 of Adam Williams right now is something that I've noticed that I don't really do. I don't know about you, Carlos, is they're kind of throwing this truck into the corner as hard as they possibly can. You actually see them steer a little bit to the right and then back to the left to kind of get that rear end rotated around and get the power back down. A little bit of grazing of the wall. Now your right front up against the right rear up against the wall is not a big deal. It's when you slap, as we have another yellow. Looks like the 06 car of Powder there, trying to get it refired. He's might be a little bit high sided there, stuck in the wall, and
yeah,
that's something we see a lot here at the Bristol dirt configuration, Carlos. I don't know why. His truck's just getting kind of stuck and having the tow, and yeah, Kevin Powder is going to have to go ahead and tow back to pit lane there. That's unfortunate for him because really there wasn't too much damage on that truck.
Take a look at what happened. People were really spread out, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I told you the most dangerous part of the track is not the corners, even though he did spin down the corner, but it is in fact the middle of the straightaway where the truck gets very light and you have to kind of fight it to not drive yourself down to the inside. We saw him, his truck naturally went down to the inside, try to get his truck back up to the outside to prepare himself for the entry of the next corner as the 20 overshoots the stall. And because of that, got a really bad angle as the 18 now overshoots the stall. I got a really bad angle.
Go ahead, Carlos. I'm sorry.
No, I was kind of done.
Well, I just was going to point out that I've seen that a lot tonight. Is it looks like a majority, if not all of our drivers came down the pit road this time, is guys sliding through their pit boxes. And I don't know if that is the dirt tire and the dirt being on their tires, if iRacing simulates that, getting into the pit lane. Of course, in real life, too, when they do these races in NASCAR, the pit stops aren't competitive. Everybody comes down usually after a stage break, and the stops are not competitive. You get to regain your spot, and again, no caution laps are being counted in our race today, so that's almost kind of happening in a way where these stops are non-competitive, but kind of interesting to see this pit strategy plays out as the race goes farther and farther. Do you take those tires early? Do you just gas up and, you know, maybe fix some damage? And damage really isn't the biggest deal here, especially when you're dirt racing, but, you know, some of the steering, if you hit that tire and knock the toe out a little bit, that's definitely going to be a concern. So you maybe want to go down and get that fixed if you can.
I just like I know it's 150 laps, which is 50 more than what the drivers expected. I just don't see tires playing a major factor in this. I really don't know why everybody went down pit road. I just don't get it. I mean, it makes sense. I'm also not out there racing. Track position is going to be so key. On the later stages, I would say even the last half of the race, which this race originally being 100 laps, we're nearing. This final 100 laps we're gonna get to, it's gonna be harder than the first 50 laps. Track position is gonna be key, and I think that if you go down pit road, especially from the front, you're not gonna get back there unless the other guys go down pit road with you.
Green flag is out again. We have a new leader this time. It is JD Poole who's going to be able to take the outside here for his restart. He took the lead before the yellow came out, but he hasn't started the race or restarted the race, excuse me, in the number 1 position. So again, we're seeing all the drivers were in the lead here, choosing the outside line, and I think that is the play there because you're going to be able to go out.
Caution!
We got a spinner here. It looks like
Mike Tellier.
Looks like that's Mike Floppy Tellier in the 97 that has spun.
Can't seem to grab it because our racing throws a fit when caution laps are not counted.
And then the pace car making it 3 wide there between our 2 leaders. That's a little bit interesting as we can see what happened here to Mike Floppy Tellier. I don't know if he got some help or the 20 going for the low slider and then coming up and I don't want to say anything about any drivers negative because there's all good guys here, but the 20 is throwing some questionable moves out on the racetrack tonight. I'll have to say that, Carlos.
Unfortunately, that is the second car he's made contact that resulted in a spin. Of course, it is dirt racing. It's harder than average, and well, it's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. Plus, it's something that people do learn over time. But yeah, good, strong takeoff from the 26. Would have loved to see how much he could have stretched it out when they if they went green flag a bit longer. But all right, this is our 5th caution of the night. We're not halfway done. We're almost halfway done from the original scheduled mark, but we're about 6 laps away from it being 100 to go.
Yeah, and it's really not helping things out right now that these caution laps are not counting. Well, I say not helping things out, but with the getting deeper and deeper into this race, especially with caution laps not counting towards the lap count, has really got to be in the heads of the drivers as well with as many cautions as we have. And I've been talking about fuel mileage all night long, especially with it being 150 laps now instead of the original 100. But I think with as many yellows as we're seeing, Carlos, I don't even think that's going to be much of a concern going into the later stages of these races, especially when we've had as many yellows as we had, and these guys aren't really going at full speed, so they're not getting to the point where you're using a bunch of fuel. So just kind of a hodgepodge of strategies, and really just going to be kind of I would say it's almost a roll of the dice at this point. Obviously, we've seen Cannizzaro and Poole up front all night long, but really, we saw the 78 challenging those 2 guys, and I think what I saw there in the latter half of that run where we saw the leaders battling, all 3 of them there, is I think Williams kind of knew that he had a truck, excuse me, that could get him to the front of the pack, but didn't want to burn everything up as quickly as he possibly could, so I think he was hanging on a little bit, and really we're going to see it's going to be about getting that track position like you said. But if you find yourself in a nice little spot where you can hang on and kind of tick away these laps, especially at this point, I think that's a smart move as well. Back to green flag racing again. JT on the outside. Adam Williams now making the move for 2nd place. We'll see if he's got anything for JT Williams, and again running up all the way against the wall, even inches off of that wall is what you need to do to carry the momentum around here. And really it's him and the 78's race right now. The rest of our field just kind of filing in and finding their spots as we go deeper and deeper into this race.
These guys already single file, mostly spreading out. There are some drivers that are starting to set themselves up for passing opportunities. But I'm actually a little concerned with that 12. We saw him running up the front, the whole race, lost the lead, and since then he's been struggling on the restarts. And right now he's dropped a couple spots and he's not running in 4th. Is there a cause for concern, or do you think it's just a little minor setback?
I think it not being able to choose his line, and especially if he was able to start on the inside for those restarts, whereas throughout this whole race. He's been starting on the outside and being able to take the choose cone and really dive into the turn. I think it's not necessarily him having problems. I think it's just having to negotiate his way through the rest of this traffic. As you see now, he's starting to claw his way back up to the front, making a move on Tristan Thuggy Maher and looking again for getting himself back up to the front. And we saw kind of earlier in that earlier green flag stint that we saw the two guys up at the front battling here as we see the 78 and the 26 go at each other. That's going to allow the third car to make room again, and it looks like we've got a few cars here trying to stay down to the bottom. That looks like there was the 18 truck, and I don't think yellow is going to come out here. I can't really tell. I would think that I'm not exactly sure what happened to those drivers there, but as these two guys up front battle more and more, it's going to allow John Canizaro Jr. to reel these guys in, but he's still about 2.5 seconds back from the leaders. And we've got caution again.
Eckert had a blown engine. We saw him smoking, dropping oil all over the dirt, trying to add some more grip there. As the engine finally Z'd up, and he's took it down there to the inside of one of the corners. Caution fully coming out at that point. Couldn't do anything about that. So 50 laps to go at this point. Excuse me, sorry, I apologize. 100 laps to go. Is what we can probably do is just count out this first 50 laps as we are now starting the race for the first time of the night.
Yeah, the first 50 laps are just a warm-up, exactly, Carlos. Yeah, we were just trying to figure out what was going on. And, right, exactly, and now we're actually going to go racing. And I don't know if you saw there, right before the yellow came out, the 78 was all the way up to the bumper of the 26 truck and actually gave him a little bit of a bump there. So maybe a little bit of mind games going later into this race saying, hey, man, I'm just as fast as you are, and I'm going to give you this bumper just to let you know I'm here and say, hey, I'm not going away all night long. There's a little bit of a chat going on between the drivers over voice chat right now. I don't think anything hostile, but a little bit of good trash talking between these two drivers, trying to get into each other's heads a little bit, maybe, Carlos.
Yeah. What I really want to see is, unfortunately, it got kind of killed there with the caution. Is earlier I was talking about how that 78 I felt was faster than the 12 and was being held up, and it probably could have caught up to the 26. And we were kind of seeing that now that the 78 was finally in second place. They're starting to run down that 26. Maybe could have done something. I want to see if maybe he can actually do something with a bit of a longer run.
And we were talking about you're not exactly sure what tires will do to these trucks, especially on the dirt surface. But I think that might be why we saw Williams making his way through the field as quickly as he was back up to the front. I think he possibly took tires on that first stop when he pitted before everybody else, and that was able to allow him to have a little bit more grip and get through the field pretty quickly. And now that these guys have been first and second for a few stints here, they've gotten a few heat cycles through these tires, I think that advantage has gone away, so it'll be interesting to see what happens between those two for the rest of the race.
I don't know, man. I'm not a believer in that so far. If he went down pit road in one of the first stops, it really wasn't that many laps. It's not like the tires are prime real estate here. They don't wear out. They don't become slow after one lap like you see in most mile or higher racetracks. I just don't know. I'm not a believer.
You may not be a believer, but I had a joke for that, and it completely left my mind.
If it has anything to do with Smash Mouth, I am turning off this broadcast.
I was afraid of that, and that's why I decided to hold back on my joke, actually, and not finish the rest of that. A little bit of Shrek vibes maybe coming back here for on 3 TV. You know, we are the affordable cartoon broadcaster, so you can't always be the most serious of all nights, especially when you've got me and Carlos in the booth. It's kind of around the water cooler, if we're going to keep it PG, maybe around the bar, if you're an adult. Just trying to have fun up here tonight, Carlos.
I think kids can be at bars. They shouldn't, but I don't think it's actually against the laws. They just can't drink.
Right, yeah, I don't think bars are a place for kids to be hanging out. But yeah, I think they legally can go there. I think as we're going to see the pace truck peel off here, yes we do, and we're about to go green flag racing again. Really interesting to see what the 78 is going to be able to have for the 26 here. I think you might see an early slider from him well, he's got to catch him first, so that's important.
Yeah.
But, and a little bit of trouble there for the 78. You saw the rest of the field kind of get back up on him, and he gets into the wall coming off two there. Cars stacking up all behind here. Everybody checking up. It looks like we're going to get through this relatively unscathed, but 3 wide coming out of turn 3 right now.
Yeah, bit of a hectic restart there for everybody but the race leader. As now everybody's starting to check up a little bit. As there's some contact in the back, in the middle of the pack, they're battle for fourth. As truck is spinning around, no caution because he's the last driver out on track. I believe that might be Jeff Price. It sure is. That number 14 goes around. Caution is still not out, and caution is out now.
Caution number 7 here tonight on lap 53, and I don't know if you've been doing the math, Carlos. I think that's been a caution roughly every 10 to 12 laps if I'm doing some quick math in my head here, which I'm a terrible mathematician, so I probably absolutely slaughtered that. That's why I do broadcasting on iRacing and not math things. But yeah, the 14 goes around.
Math when I wasn't in like the one scene where I could do the math graphic.
But, right, yeah, exactly.
We're gonna go ahead and take a very quick break as we're gonna come back and continue commentating before the next green flag lap comes out. Quiet, and we're back. I had to go to the bathroom, and that's all you all need to know.
Well, I wasn't going to call you out like that, but yeah, that's exactly what would happen. We got to use the little commentator's room here. Looks like the 1 is getting a wave around here with 1 lap to go, so he's going to catch the tail end of the field. He's not your leader right now, even though it's showing on the board right now. So Poole and Williams again going to be battling for the lead here off the green flag, and the race truck is in. Poole again gets a great jump on the outside line, and it's got to be so hard for the 78 on the inside there to make anything happen off of the restart, because not only do you have to time it, and the 78 is in the wall. Looks like he's hanging on to it, but he is really trying to, and he's going for the lead.
No, second.
Throwing the slide job there. That's actually not for the lead. That's just
when
for
he
the
hit the
wall,
he hit it really hard, and he lost that second spot to the 12, who was actually making a comeback, and that's actually how he hit the wall the first time. But was actually able to make something out of it, as he's trading truck stability for a position there. Gonna try to complete the slide job, block off that 12, see if he's gonna be able to block him off the corner. Truck gets loose. This is what I talked about in the middle of the corner. They both enter at a bad angle up against the wall. Both these trucks go, so 78 is being used up like I was. Caution is out. Never mind. 20 goes around.
Man, that was absolute carnage off the restart there, and everybody jostling for position. And yeah, we saw the 78 get into the wall a few times there, and then the 78 and the 12 got together, and 78 just got used up, and it looks like Powder there just spinning the 20. So maybe a little bit of, I don't want to say karma, but, you know, maybe a little bit of the shoes on the other foot there for the 20 truck, because it looks like Mike Floppy Tellier was also involved in that wreck.
So I wouldn't say that restart was even more hectic than the last one, as 78 was definitely using his truck up, overdriving that corner. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually really did bang it up horribly this time, as those were two very hard hits, followed by another hard hit, but with car contact, as him and the 12 made contact up against the wall. 12 probably got away with it just a little bit, but I really think that 78's truck integrity is down, probably noticeably down.
Yeah, the 78 definitely got the worst of that there, and really it's nobody's fault but his own, as you mentioned earlier, Carlos. Really driving aggressively and deep into the corners and making some contact with the wall, and was able to battle his way back, but it seemed like every time he drove down into the corner, the truck just got out from under him, and he was tapping his rear bumper there on the wall. And that is, you know, you don't have to worry about tires necessarily going flat on iRacing, but that would definitely be something you'd be concerned about if this were a real-life race at the Bristol dirt track. Would be, you know, tire wear, especially hitting that wall that many times, running it off that sidewall, but not something the 78's going to have to worry about tonight. But yeah, that's not going to help the handling one bit, Carlos.
No, it is not, and I want to see what that truck can do now. As we got BoltJet themselves saying party at Bristol on dirt. How you doing, BoltJet? Thank you for sponsoring once again. As I know Ian over here was saying it's the Fisher Disc Golf BoltJet Charter 150, but I'm over here saying it's the opposite. It's the BoltJet Charter Fisher Disc Golf 150.
And I think that's probably Luke Kakert. It's either Luke Kakert or Eric Bolt checking in the BoltJet account. So special shout out to one of those guys, or both of those guys if they're both watching. Jimbo, Stay Tuned Start says the track is only going to get more slick as the race continues. So with caution laps not being counted, even though they're driving as slow, does that help slicking up the track? If
Yes.
I were a betting man, Jimbo, I would say probably.
I say yes because I don't believe iRacing is using a model that's sophisticated enough to actually account for the cars moving slow, and they're using an average. And that average will be still of like green flag laps and caution laps and the speed there to dictate the actual dryness of the track and how slick it gets. So I think, even though the iRacing system is complex, I just don't think it's that complex yet where it'll be accounting for that type of slowdown.
Yeah, I've been watching the 78 car, especially on the caution laps. He's actually moving all the way down to the bottom, and you saw guys doing that in real life on the Bristol dirt track, trying to keep their tires cool. And like we were talking about earlier, I don't think it's going to be that complex as the 78 moving down there, I think, to get in position, but made contact with the 12 under caution. That brings back shades of Matt Kenseth, and you hit me under yellow there, Carlos.
What a classic. His pace car's going to get ready to pull off. We're about to go green flag for the 8th time of the night. Great restart once again by the number 26. As he started to pull away, so 78's going to lose a spot there in the restart. Didn't get the line that he wanted. Of course, I'm sure he wanted to get that outside line as number 17 of Tristan Tugamaher is now battling with the 12 for that second place position. And 17's, you know, been keeping himself relatively calm, clean. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually going to be able to pull up a challenge for the number 26 should he clear the 12. But that 12 is once again back up to the point in second spot, as now the 78 and the 17 are battling side by side.
And it's so hard if you get stuck down there at the bottom to keep the momentum going. You've really got to make that move to the bottom, get the pass done, and then slide back up to the top. And as we see, it looks like the 78 and the 17 getting together there. I think the 17 is going to go around. Oh, no, he saved it. So there's going to be a battle between the 17 and the 78. 78 really not making any friends out there right now, and 17 is going to try the slider again.
I don't know. I don't know
I
what
don't
to tell
think
you,
it
but
was the 78's
yeah,
fault, but
that
yeah.
17 just overdrove the corner. It's actually I was praising the 17's lack of not lack. I was praising his ability to keep his truck clean and you know kind of stay out of it. And then I was about to talk about how that 78, at least in my opinion, is just heavily overdriving the corners to the point where it really is slowing him down more than he should. And I think he's currently just out driving that car too much, and it's hurting him in the long run. And then of course the moment I think about that and I get ready for it opening, the 17 drives it in there from I don't know where, but a different state. He slingshots and goes straight to the outside wall, makes contact with the wall of the quarter panel and with the 78. Thankfully, doesn't spin out, but that could have been a lot worse. As the 78's giving it too much beans on the outside, gonna do a great job of saving it, but he's gonna lose some time. Might lose the position there to the 7. Actually, no, never mind. I don't know what happened there. Thought he would have lost some spot, but now that 78's looking on the inside. I think with the condition of the car, that's not good, and he's in pit road. Not sure if that was planned, but his day is essentially over.
Well, I was trying to. I didn't want to interrupt you there, Carlos, but the 78 was actually black flag. He was black flagged and now has been removed from the server. Over the scanner, I was hearing that wall riding was the reason that he was black flagged, but I gotta be completely honest with you, Carlos. I don't think he was wall riding.
No, I don't think he was wall riding. I thought, is there an incident limit?
No, there's no incident limit. Like I said, I heard on the scanner that the 78 was black flagged for wall riding, but that is very interesting. He's not wall riding any more than these drivers, and there's a difference between wall riding. When we say wall riding on the iRacing service, sometimes on a dirt track, you can get up there and just kind of push your car up against the wall, as we see the 26 getting into the wall. Now the Canizaro is going to move to the inside.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I saw that, honestly, Carlos. All I saw was him getting into the wall just from overdriving the truck like we've seen there. But yeah, the 78 out of the race, and he's done for the night. He's been black flagged and parked by race control. Kind of an interesting move there. I heard over the scanner that some of the other drivers were complaining about it, but I really don't think that was warranted.
Well, listen, until we know exactly why he was black flagged, if that was the case, let's go ahead and not really speculate much on it. But for the people who just want a little bit more of an identification as to what wall riding was, we saw while you were giving that description of 26 go up against the wall and kind of ride that for the majority of the corner. That was also not wall riding we saw with the 26. What that was him just driving it too hard and hitting the wall and not being able to get out of it. Wall riding would be you intend to not turn your car enough and actually hit the wall early on and just stay up against the wall, matching the gas and just riding it to get out of the corners. And there are tracks specifically, I think Richmond and Bristol, at least back in the day, where that was, I mean, it's a viable strategy. It's definitely not ethical, and you can't damage your car, but it was something that was an exploit that you could do. I don't think that's the case here at Bristol, but that being said, until we know specifically what it is, it's just speculation. We shouldn't really be doing that anyway, but we don't know unless we get a word from it, of course. Let's take a look at the chat. Never mind, that's just something else. But yeah, we don't know exactly why he was black flagged, but look, it seems like he was black flagged and his night is done.
Well, and as members of the quote-unquote media here, Carlos, I think we could speculate a little bit, and the reason that I said that was that just it came over the race scanner. So I was listening to the race scanner, and that's where I heard the message from him. Not really trying to call anybody out here, but just trying to give the full picture to our viewers at home, and I believe that's why he was parked. But, a little speculation is good for the drama of the race, I think. I don't know about you, Carlos, but I think this might possibly be getting close to our longest green flag run we've had here tonight, clicking away on lap 71. I probably just jinxed it, but John Canizaro still in the lead. We'll take a look at your top 10. Poole is going to be running in second, Crump in third, Tristan Thuggy Maher in fourth. Price in the 14 truck is going to be in fifth. Jason Gracias in the one truck in sixth. Cody Sandlin in seventh. Good run for him tonight. Cody Sandlin, a relative newcomer to the league, but really having a good night here tonight at Bristol Dirt, running up in the top 10. John Canizaro Sr. in eighth. Beach in the 71 car in ninth, and Kevin Powder one lap down. The only car one lap down. As I say that, Beach just goes a lap down as well. But all of our cars now are in the top 10 that are still in this race. Williams is out. Mike Floppy Tellier's in the pits. John Eckhart's in the pits. And then our good friend Jimbo is in the pits. And then also in the chat as well. So shout out to him as well.
Pardon me, my mic was muted there. It does seem Adam is confirming that he was black flag for while riding. As Adam, I don't think right now is the best time for an interview. I'm gonna let you guys figure that out. Best not to bring it into the broadcast or even in chat if there is something going on. But 75 laps into this 150 lap race, as we're at this point, I believe 75 is halfway, right?
I believe so. Let me take out my handy dandy calculator.
There's a math.
Yeah. You can flash the math. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was waiting for right there. So.
Listen, I had to do. I failed math in college twice. I'm not that smart.
Oh, I didn't even go to college, so I don't even know how I'm up here. You know what I mean? So yes, 75 laps is halfway, just past halfway here, as we see the complex arithmetic going out on the screen here. But you know, someone who is able to do math all night long, hit their angles, hit their marks, is John Cannizzaro Jr. He's back up to the lead again and putting some space now on JT Poole.
Listen, you can't fail math in college if you don't do math in college. So you got to think about
exactly.
that. You have a better
brain strategy.
You have a better math not failing ratio than I do. So you got that going.
Yeah,
I'm a little surprised. I thought, I thought that the 12th was struggling a lot. I thought that his time of leading was over. And I thought honestly that the 17 could have just passed him back once he got the lead. So a little shocked. I gotta admit, I'm a little shocked to see, especially after he struggled on the restarts. But it's exactly what you mentioned. He just couldn't get the line right. He couldn't get where he wanted to be, and probably with a factor of that, and then maybe not being exactly timed with the restart that saw him drop a couple spots. It could have just been me just seeing something that just wasn't there, because the 12th back out in top form, and he's got a 3-second lead over number 26 of Poole, and that is the largest lead of the night as we are into lap number 80 of 150 laps.
Yeah, our longest green flag run of the night so far, as we see now Poole is going to the outside of a John Cannizzaro Sr., or I'm sorry, the 12 now going to the outside of a John Cannizzaro Sr. So a little family-on-family crime right here. He's going to be moving to the outside. I'm sure his dad's going to give him plenty of room, and that will put the 20 truck one lap down as well, as now he sets his sights on Cody Sandlin. But yeah, just clocking out here and just pulling away from the 26 truck now that he has the clean air.
We have a new member in the chat, Lorraine, or Lorraine, I apologize, I can't actually see too well, saying, hi, and has everybody seen the Indy 500 a couple days ago? I sure have. It's a good race. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you got a chance to take a look at it.
Oh, yeah, that was a great day of racing. Started off in the morning with Formula One, which kind of couldn't make their mind up about when they wanted to get started. But, hey, what would a Formula One race be without drama? And then later in the day, we, of course, had the Indy 500.
I'm glad that they started late because I actually overslept. I did the mistake of staying up till 4 a.m. the day before. So I was like, all right, well, I got to wake up at 9. And then I woke up at like 10:30 or something, and they were just getting green. Oh, you were there?
And how?
Oh, that's awesome.
How? Oh yeah, I had tickets to the 500 as well, actually, Carlos, and I'm only I would say about 4 hours away from Indianapolis, where I live in Michigan, but due to some personal issues, I was not able to make it out there. Unfortunately, gave my ticket to somebody else, and they had one heck of a time. So it made me really happy to see how good of a time they had down there, and I'm really glad the ticket didn't go to waste.
I'm trying to see how far away it would be for me. From my home, it's an 18-hour drive.
Oh, just a hop, skip, and a jump. You'll be there.
Yeah,
in no time.
yeah, I'll be there.
If you start now, you'd be there.
I'll be there in 18 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So as we see, John Cannizzaro Jr. continues to put cars one lap down. That's now Jason Gracias in the one truck. He has put one lap. I don't know why. I'm usually so good about saying trucks, not cars, but I keep saying cars tonight. These are actually trucks. So you can see that they have a flatbed and are very truck-shaped, not very car-shaped at all times.
They're gonna look to see. I've noticed that ever since I mentioned that the 12 of Gonzaro Jr. was pulling away from GT Pool, it seems like it's kind of stabilized a little. He's lost a little bit of time, Pool has, but he hasn't lost as much as it was before. And I wonder if maybe something could be happening now that we're into the nighttime and the trucks are getting a little bit more slicker with the drier the track gets. So let's go ahead and pull up the lap telemetry, timeline history, and the time delta and see what's going on. What's the contrary? It seems like while Poole is definitely gaining a little bit in some laps, he's losing more than he gains. So, I don't know. Since I started talking, he went from 3.9 to 3.7. Maybe something's happening now. Maybe the 12 is starting to lose speed, or the 26 is starting to get this or lose less speed than usual. It's being told Poacher has been involved in an incident as caution is out.
Caution is out, and I think another thing that goes into what you're seeing happen with Cannizzaro is his lead is going to be erased again here, Carlos. I think you started to see Cannizzaro having to navigate lap traffic. You saw that JD Gracias was running that high line all the way until Cannizzaro was up to his back bumper, as we see what happened here with the 06 truck of powder. Looks like it was just a little bit of a self-spin, tries to save it, and then hits the inside there and those safer barriers.
I'm sorry.
Able to get it on pit road. It looks like the truck's still running, but that's not going to be good for the RPMs on the engine.
No, and an old buddy of mine taught me a trick to figure out if your car does have engine damage. This is for the stock cars, and actually I'm not sure if it works for the trucks. Although I don't see why it wouldn't. As a 12 overshoots it stall heavily, so it's a 26. Is that if you clutch it while you're at speed and the temperature and the RPM dips below 300, then you have engine damage. If it doesn't and it holds firm at 300, 3,000 I should say, then you're fine.
This would be a perfect time, and I don't know if you have it, Carlos, but if you had like the more you know, from like the NBC PSAs, that would have been a perfect time to throw that one up there.
I don't, but I'm going to offer you this man missing a baseball.
Let me see here. What do we got going on here? That's almost as good. I believe, I was going to say, I used to be a Toronto Blue Jays fan when they had Joey Batista and everything like that. I don't know who that was. I was going to say that was... yeah, I don't even know who that was. I don't know why.
How about I hit you with some diesel?
Oh, there you go. There's the shack. I do know the shack.
When the heat is on, the pain is gone.
Pain is gone.
Unfortunately, my heat got eliminated.
Broadcast here in the shack voice, Carlos. I could do that for you if you want, but I think the viewers at home would not be too happy about that.
Listen, Shaq's a good commentator. He's
more of an analyst than a commentator.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll be dissing on Shaq now.
Oh, I'm not dissing on Shaq.
I'm just talking about general. He's that guy is a entrepreneur. Any product I usually see that he promotes is usually a good product. It's something that he believes in himself. Did you hear his story of when he got the Ring doorbell before it was?
I was just
gonna
bring that up actually. The Ring doorbell story. Yeah, I was just about to say that. So that's pretty funny that we were on the same wavelength there. I don't know if we have like a brain blast kind of thing. You do have the guy.
We share one brain cell, and so it's hard to commentate when it's just the two of us. But also, for those that don't know, I really would recommend you look up and listen to Shaq's story about when he first got signed on the NBA and like his first 48 hours when he was spending a lot of money and the reality check he had, because that's a really good story.
Although if I ever had that amount of money, you better believe I would be buying so many things so fast.
And that's what he did.
It's always easy to say, "Oh no, I wouldn't be silly with my money." But when you have more money than you've ever had in your entire life, kind of interesting. Another cool Shaq story as well is I don't know if you ever heard the one about the shoes. How?
Yep, I have.
Kind of like, as
That's
the
a really good story.
pace
That's
car
another one to listen to.
goes off. We'll have to see if Shaquille O'Neal can maybe join us in the booth here one day. And John Cannizzaro again going to get that really good launch off the outside. I think that's what the problem was earlier, Carlos, is we do see the JT Pool able to get up to his back bumper there, but then quickly fall off coming down the backstretch. But he's still right there. So I think once Cannizzaro gets clean air and he has that outside line that he likes, he's kind of hard to beat. But JT Pool, as we ride on board with him right now, in our Fisher Disc Golf onboard camera, is really just doing all he can to chase down that 12 because he knows how important that clean air is, Carlos.
Yes, he does. I'm interested to see what you mentioned, if he can get something. Of course, he lost a little bit of time on that restart, which is going to happen naturally. So it's very hard to really time up a restart. The question is, can he do something about it? Well, I saw earlier in the race he was doing a great job of not overdriving the vehicle and being able to stay there, be relevant. And then, of course, once I did mention that, he kind of overdrove it when he was battling the, I believe it was the 97. Excuse me, not the 97. But yes, I want to see just what he can do. If he can just drive it perfectly enough to catch up, and if he does catch up, if he can actually pass him. Because we're almost there on lap 95. So currently, we have about 56 to go this time by.
56 to go this time by, and we're kind of seeing a little bit right here that you were talking about, Carlos. It's so important to keep your car off of the wall, especially going down the front straightaway, because once you give this car gas, it does want to kind of pull to the right towards that fence, which can set you up for a nice corner entry. But also, if you hit that wall, especially on the front or back stretch, that's where you're going to lose a lot of time, and that's just going to snowball into the corner. Plus, Bristol Dirt here with the banking, just such a momentum-heavy track that if you take any kind of hit, it's going to take you a few laps to get back up to the times you've been running before.
I'm being told somebody has... Oh, no, never mind. I was just being told that we have a brand new driver joining the racetrack, as Mike Tellier is back out on track ever since he had an issue with his Goodbye Dog car.
Goodbye Dog. Yeah, I think that was possibly a whole engine replacement we saw there for the 97 car. And luckily enough for him, not quite my luck that I had at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, but luckily for him, this race has carried on long enough for him to go out there. Probably going to be able to pick up a position on Adam Williams and not much more. But if you're out on the racetrack and guys start wrecking out, those are pretty easy positions for you.
Yep, it looks like he can really only pick up that one spot. But we'll see if, I mean, at this point, if he still has a couple laps. If anybody wrecks, he can go ahead and wheel that in a different fish truck and get out there past a couple more trucks.
I love how you keep changing the name. And, of course, we can't say Readings Feline for copyright reasons. That's obviously a joke. But I'm going to go ahead and hop in on the... I don't think alliteration. No, alliteration isn't the right word. But the play on words there, Carlos. I appreciate what you're doing so far with that.
You're going to look to see who's out there on the track still running good these laps. We only have 6 drivers on the lead lap. That's less than half of the racers out there, as we're finally on lap 100. This is where the race initially was scheduled to end, but due to the fans cheering and demanding more, the race officials have decided to add 50 extra laps. So now we're into overtime. These are for the fans, as now we're going to see if JT Pool has extra laps to maybe catch up and do something against number 12 of Cannizzaro Jr., who I believe was the person you called to win tonight's race.
Yeah, I did call him to win tonight's race, and I do still feel a little bit guilty from the contact that we made at the National Fairgrounds Speedway, even though I got the worst end of it. You know, at least I didn't spin him with a few laps to go, but, you know, I kind of felt bad. I thought I maybe had ruined his race, but he was able to drive that truck all the way up to the front, of course, winning last week at Watkins Glen, and now trying to make it 2 in a row here. He'd be only the second driver on the season with 2 wins, and the only driver with back-to-back wins here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck League.
Scott Crump has gone around the number 26 JT Pool, as we have a new driver in second place. Can Scott Crump be able to do something against the 12th? We're going to take a look in just a little bit to see how his lap times compare to the current leader and see if maybe something can be done.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier.
That's not good.
Cars are going to have a little bit of right side damage, but yeah, it looks like he's not going to be able to reel in the 17, I'm sorry, the 12 of John Cannizzaro, but you know, Crump has had a quiet race all night long and, kind of kept himself out of the worst of the trouble and now finds himself in P2, Carlos.
Yes, he has. Although the battle is still not over, JT Poole is still on his backside. So any mistake, any over aggressiveness into the wall, maybe any looseness exiting the corner can result in him losing a spot back to the 26, or sorry, back to third, I should say, from the 26. The 26 is right there up on his craft, right behind him, waiting for him to make a mistake. As number 90 is starting to pull away on the outside, let's see if he's going to be able to do something. However, they're just not able to do anything to number 12 as he's pulling away 5.3 seconds of a lead right now for the number 12.
Yeah, and if the 12 has a spotter, he's telling him right now that second and third place are battling each other, and he just loves it. As this race has gone deeper and deeper into the race, we see cars leaving the track, and the cars retiring from this race. We're starting to see longer and longer green flag runs, and I think that plays right into John Cannizzaro Jr.'s hands, especially when we see two trucks get up next to each other like this. It's so hard to make a pass. You don't want to make that dive to the bottom and lose your momentum unless you know you're going to be able to slide up in front of that truck, and what we've seen so far tonight, you don't know if that's going to be a sure thing or not, Carlos.
No, we don't. And of course, things can... Oh, 90's up in the wall really hard. Things can change very quickly as the 26 goes around. As I was saying, things can change quickly. It sure does. Caution is out.
And what a move there by Tristan Thuggy Maher, not only to avoid the 26 truck, but not to spin it coming back the other way and get himself into the wall. He almost hit the inside wall, and then trying to correct him back to the right side. Really good on him not to overcorrect and get himself in more trouble than he's already in, as we're going to see on the replay here. 26 just kind of goes around by himself, maybe got up into the wall a little bit. Woo. And then watch this dodge here by the 17. That's driving right there, Carlos.
That sure is, as we're going to have a nice fun shootout with 43 laps to go once we go back green. Remember, caution laps do not count, which is why they're wrecking havoc on my graphics package. But still, 43 laps to go. It'll be pretty fun, and still plenty of time for people to make mistakes, plenty of time for people to figure things out, and plenty of time for the track to change even more.
Yeah, and that's really been the story all night long, is the dynamic state of this track. I talked to Garrett Maines, Coca-Cola NASCAR driver, which once you're done with our race here, might as well kick it over to the iRacing official channel and check out some of the best oval drivers in the world. I believe they're at Gateway. Outside of virtual St. Louis, this week, Carlos. So going to be a treat to watch those guys for sure. But I was talking to Garrett Maines and asking him a few questions here about this Bristol dirt track, and that's something that he mentioned to me, Carlos, is the track is always progressing. You might see guys running the middle lane in the early parts of the race, but as we mentioned earlier, once the moisture starts to come out of this track, it's harder and harder to find grip, and the only place that you're going to be able to find it is right along the wall there. And as we watch these cars go around, is you can actually see the spots there where the dirt's been worn in and it's nice and tan, and in the other spots as well where it's kind of a darker clay color where moisture is still in the racetrack.
Yes, well said. And, well, with 43 to go, do you think anybody has anything for the 12? Do you think he can make a mistake, or do you think the 12 is going to be able to go out there and get himself a much-needed win, prove you right, and get 2 in a row?
Well, I think if JT Poole can get back up to the front, he's definitely going to be one to watch out for. We saw that he may not be able to hang with, Cannizzaro in the long run, but on these short runs, like we've been seeing all night long, and especially with the caution laps not counting here, we've seen him on the short run be able to get to the inside of the 12 and make a move to try to take that position away from him. So if we get into an overtime situation and JT Poole is able to work his way back up to the front of the field, I think he has at least something. He may not have it all, but he has something to at least give the 12 car a challenge. And and that's all you can really ask for, Carlos, is just a chance to get to the inside of the car in the lead and try to make that slide job on the last corner.
Well, it's only can only wait and see, as we are 1 to green. Going to be restarting here for the 10th time of the night. The big question would be, can the 90 actually stay with the 12? I feel like that's where he loses. Or excuse me. Well, I meant the 26, but he's gone around. But it's important. The 90's first time up in the inside line, or in the front row, I should say. Can he do something? Can he stay with him? And if so, can he actually do something and maybe get the lead?
Yeah, we've seen that Canizaro has been so strong on the restarts all night long tonight as we see the pace car dive off on the pit road for the 10th time. And we are green again from Bristol Motor Speedway. And again, Canizaro getting a huge jump out to the front of all of these cars, able to run all the way up on the top line there and just keep it pinned and take all that momentum as we see. It looks like some cars stacking up behind us here. We might have a spinner. No, it looks like everybody's going to be able to hang on to it. We stay green. But you see trucks farther back in the field, 2, maybe even 3 wide, battling for position. Because you never know which restart is going to be the last restart, Carlos. And this is going to be the point in the race where you're able to make up the most positions. As we see the 17 and the 26 get into each other. Surprised the 26 didn't go around again. But we do have yellow on the racetrack now. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I just looked down at the flag stack and saw the yellow was out. And it looks like we're going to get a replay here of what happened. Cody Sandlin just really driving down deep into the corner, and I think gave it, as you said multiple times, too much beans and just self-spun there. Able to bounce off the wall, which is kind of, you never want to bounce off the wall, Carlos, but we've seen a few trucks tonight get stuck in that wall. I don't know if that's just a kind of a special glitch with the dirt racing here on the iRacing surface, but really happy probably if you're Cody Sandlin not to be stuck in the wall, only bouncing off the wall.
We've seen it happen multiple times under speed when drivers have hit it at a certain speed and at a certain angle where it'll just stay locked on, and the driver will just be kind of ricocheting back and forth until it settles down. But it's rare to see it where the driver will spin and then slowly come to a rest and just casually make contact with the inside wall, where then that driver is then permanently stuck to that inside wall like a kid sticking his tongue against a metal pole in the freezing winter. But
nice, a Christmas Story reference in June. I like it.
Well, it's almost Christmas in July, but we're gonna go ahead and take another quick break. Hopefully, our final one, so we can get a chance to rest our mental brains. Wow, I really do need a break. We're gonna take a little rest. We're gonna come back for green flag racing. I meant to say something else.
And we're back here at the virtual Thunder Valley Bristol Motor Speedway. Looks like we're going to be going green this time. Pace lights are out on the pace truck, and so it'll be diving into the safety and sanctuary of its home on pit road, and we'll be back to racing here. And Carlos, we've got about 40 laps here when we go green. John Canizaro, of course, has been out at the front all day long, but do you think anybody has anything for him?
At this point, I don't think so. Especially the more green flag laps you run, if we get more cautions, the further into this race, the less chances there are, because the 12 just gets a really good restart.
And again, the 12 gets an excellent restart. He's able to leave the 90 of Crump and the 17 of Tristan Thuggy Maher in the dust, as we see a little bit of blink in there from the 90 car, and I think that's going to allow Maher to take the position away from him there.
Oh my god, no caution. The leaders are coming to this damage and caution is out. That's Jeff Price, John Eckert, Kevin Potter, or John. Oh, John Eckert's already been listed. By the way, we also have Andrew Beach. Excuse me, I'm blind. Like literally, like kind of blind. But Andrew Beach on chat saying he had to retire it after his engine had exploded on itself. But let's take a look and see if we can take a look at what happened. Not sure why that wasn't a caution until much later on. Glad it did become a caution because even though it didn't affect the leaders, I would just feel bad for all those drivers who were involved that just lost all that time. As that was an issue between the 1 and the 26 that caught up with 4 or 5 other trucks that at one point all 4 of those trucks were facing the wrong way. Ooh, we have issues. It seems like our intern, our unpaid intern, has stepped on Ian's headset and unplugged something. So excuse us while we go ahead and fire our unpaid intern, and then get a new one to help set up his headset one more time. So we'll be back when green flag comes.
Back again after we had to fire another intern, unfortunately, for the headset issues. Just unacceptable here in such a high level of racing, as the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, really the premier racing league here on iRacing. Forget about the eNASCAR Coca-Cola series. This is where you really want to be, as the pace car lights are out, so we're going to be going green this time. Going to be another shootout. We'll see how long we can go green this time, and really with these drivers up at the front, and last time Canizaro doesn't get as good of a start. Crump able to get a little bit of a run on him there, but immediately Canizaro back to the lead and able to throw it in. And looks like something might have happened to the 90 car there on the start as well, as he's now stuck on the inside.
Crump jumped that start. He thought he timed it with the 12, but he jumped that heavily, and then he backed off, which is why he lost a lot of time. So on the contrary, that was a really good restart there for the 12, because the 90 just got a little too eager and just mistimed that restart. Of course, that's the mind games you play when you're the leader, and even though I'm not that good of a racer, I felt like I always excelled on the restart game. Whether I was leading or not, I felt like I was really strong at that, and especially when I was a leader, I played the mind games like crazy. You did not want to be on the outside when I was a leader.
Shades of Tony Stewart almost there, you know. Kind of goes back to, I think that was like 2006 at Homestead, where he got black flag for warming his tires all the way up to the restart zone. And yeah, that is the luxury you have as a leader, especially here in oval racing with all the restarts, is you control when the field goes. And, you know, right there, Cannizzaro using it to the best of his advantage, but you can't blame Crump there. You got to try to jump the restart and do something different every single time, or you're just going to see Cannizzaro get out to the lead like we are right now. But unfortunately for him, that time around didn't work out so well. Jason Gracias able to take P2 away from him.
Yeah, that's something you really have to do. Otherwise, as you mentioned, that's your opportunity right there. As it seems like Crump and the one are battling for second, as Jason Donata has gone ahead and maybe hit the wall, so he's lost a little bit of time, but for a second there, they were side by side.
Yeah, side by side, Crump able to take P2 back away from Jason Gracias in the one truck. And a little bit of a battle here we have between the 26 and the 17. 17 up into the wall a little bit, able to keep it going, but that's going to allow the 26 to dive down to his inside, and you're probably going to see the pass right here. That's going to be for third place. I'm sorry, that's going to be for fourth place, actually.
Actually, no, it's not, because the 26 is a lap down.
Wow, I'm not used to the 26 being a lap down, so that's kind of my mistake there. But these two guys still racing incredibly hard. This isn't even a battle for position, but this is almost the best battle on the racetrack right now.
I wonder how Maher is going to be taking it, being challenged so hard for a position that you know is not there because he's a lap down. Usually, most people do not like that, especially when there's a lapper that's challenging you for a track position, and you're out here trying to catch up with somebody else. But with the 26 being the first driver one lap down, I mean, I guess you could argue that he's going to try to get himself back up in a good position. But the later this goes, the less kind of respectful it is. Not saying it's disrespectful right now, because we're not really doing that bad. But with like 2 to go, 5 to go, you don't want to do that, as we are now 30 laps to go. We got about 15 laps of this bad boy. 15 minutes of this bad boy before this race is over, not counting any cautions.
Yeah, and Poole wants to obviously stay in the first car a lap down. The next person behind him who's still in the race right now is going to be Kevin Powder, and Kevin Powder's 2 laps down. But if we have another caution come out, Poole's going to be the lucky dog recipient. He's going to be right back in the thick of things. He's only going to be in P6, so really not a bad position to be in. And if he stays in P6, he's going to be on the outside line on the restarts, and we've seen that that's been the line to take all night long, Carlos. So really trying to battle as hard as he can, because he probably thinks this race isn't over yet.
Maher has gone on and passed the number 1 of Jason Gracias and is now in 3rd place, although I do feel like he's still overdriving his truck a lot, especially when he made that slide job. He was just way too sideways, wasn't able to pull away as far as he probably should have. This time by, though, it's a little bit better. I just think he's overdriving that truck just a little bit too much.
Going to be 25 laps to go for John Cannizzaro the next time by, and yeah, you're right, Carlos. When I saw that move originally, I thought that was Tristan Thuggy Maher spinning out, but able to make it stick, able to make the pass on Jason Gracias. He's got himself up into the 3rd podium position.
25 laps to go this time by, as the laps are counting down and the time is running short for everybody but John Cannizzaro Jr., as he is just doing everything he can to just gain more time from the lead, trying to build up that lead. I think the largest we've seen it this race has been 5 seconds, and that was a couple, that was the last big green flag run. We've had a couple shorter cautions since then, but other than that, 3.5, that's about the average of what he's been running in terms of distance to second place, as I believe I've lost my primary feed. I've lost my, oh no, never, it looks like Scott Crump is having internet connection issues. I thought it was my primary feed that I've lost. Yeah, he's disappearing. He's coming in and back and forth a lot. And if he's unlucky, we may see a DNF from Scott Crump with less than 20 to go. And that's just adding insult to, I mean, I don't know if it's insult to injury. That's just painful. Especially running up high in a long race, in a dirt race. You're running so well, and then with less than 20 to go, outside your control, you're gone. That's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, it really is kind of a bummer. It is a written rule here on the Total nonstop
Uh-oh,
racing Tuesday night.
uh-oh. Caution is out.
And another
22
yellow is out,
to go.
unfortunately. Yeah, and it's going to be Poole who is involved in the accident, so I don't think he's going to get the lucky dog here, Carlos. So I spoke about it earlier, how he's the first truck one lap down, but being that he was part of that incident, let's see what happened here. I think he tries to go to the inside there and then just slides up into the 18 truck. Yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get his lap back.
And not sure, I was a little too aggressive there. Remember, the 26 is the only driver one lap down, and the 18 that he made contact with is actually multiple laps down. As fortunate there is the little contact going to the corner between him and the 18. Got the 18 just a little too loose. Wasn't able to correct it. Spun out in front of the 26, and well, that just made it even worse there for both of those drivers. As the 26 was lined up for a free pass. Now that's out the window for the time being, unless they awarded it to him, because he's out there driving like as if he's got the free pass.
Yeah, I was going to just say, Carlos, I was listening to the scanner again, listening to the race control, and it looks like they are going to give the free pass to JT Poole there. So, yeah, even though he was in that incident, he's going to get his lap back. So, a lucky break there for the 26 truck.
I'm sure he had no idea that he would have had that had the caution come out regardless, or otherwise he probably would have done. I'm just joking. He probably wouldn't have done anything, but well, yeah, I guess you got lucky there. The officials giving him that free pass, because iRacing, no way he was going to give him that one. So he's actually going to go drive it down pit road. He's going to be careful though, because he can lose a lap very, very quickly if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, especially here with how short, 20-second lap times under green, 30 or 40, 45 seconds under yellow. So kind of a bold strategy again there. That's the third bold strategy of the night, I believe, Carlos, for JT Poole there. But he probably knows something that we don't know. And even pitting now, he's going to be, if he does go a lap down, he's still going to be the first car one lap down. And the way this race has gone, I think we're probably going to see at least one more yellow flag before the end of the night. So maybe not the worst strategy play in the world.
Maybe not. That one we went over 25. No, we went around 20 or so laps. That's right. I don't know. We can go 22 laps until the race is over. It says 21 right now, but I think there we go. It's going to be updated to 22. Going to be restarting with 21. And it'll be a 21 lap shootout to the end, of course, barring any cautions.
Yes, barring any cautions is the key word there, Carlos, which we have not escaped the caution monster tonight. All the way through this season, these races have been very clean, pretty much green flag all the way through, but not surprising to see the yellows come out here at Bristol Dirt, Nashville Fairgrounds, some of these short tracks that we go to. Bristol earlier in the season saw its fair share of yellows as well, and nothing against these drivers, all very talented drivers here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Truck League, but it's just, as Denny Hamlin would say, that's just short track racing. And, once you get all these cars in such tight quarters, even the most talented of drivers you see sometimes have trouble keeping it out of the wall or keeping off of each other. Lights are out on the pace truck, so we're going to be going back green here this time by. Going to be 22 laps to go here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, and it's going to be an old-fashioned shootout. We'll see if John Cannizzaro is able to keep his ways on the restarts. Again, the 90 truck of Crump there, still kind of having some connection issues, and that's going to be really unfortunate as we go back to green flag racing. If that's going to end his night early, we'll have to keep an eye on that, Carlos. But again, Cannizzaro getting a huge jump, so the battle here is going to be for P2 between Tristan, Dougie Maher, and Mr. Crump.
And just because the 12 of Cannizzaro was able to pull away and get big leads every single time, that doesn't mean he's going to be doing it this time by. Restarts are a perfect time for you to make mistakes. You lose that edge, you lose that focus a little, so 17 gives it too much beans. He's going to do a good job of saving it. Going to lose a spot, maybe a second one to the 26, who we saw going down Pier Road. As, Maher's continuing to have issues. Not Maher, excuse me. Crump's continuing to have issues. But, you can make a mistake on the restarts, and whatever advantage you had could be gone as contact is made. The 90 is going to get sideways. Contact to 26. He's going to get sideways again in the middle of the field. Caution's going to come out as we are under caution with 19 laps to go. 90 involved this time by.
Like I just said, I didn't think we were going to go caution-free for the rest of the night. And I hate to commentators curse it like that, but just the way the race has been going, 3 wide is not really something you can get away with here on the Bristol track. And that's kind of what we saw happen. The 17 there gets up into the 90, and the 26 just trying to get by, unfortunately, caught up in it as well. Interesting to see what damage these drivers will have coming back onto the pace laps if they're able to keep going, or if that's a night over for JT Poole and the 90 truck there.
JT Poole now running in 3rd place under caution, as 10 minutes ago he was a lap down, and he actually brought out the last caution after making contact with the 18, I want to say. Yeah, the 18. Now he finds himself running 3rd. He went on pit road last time by, although I don't think anybody has tires at this point. But got some damage repaired, running in 3rd. It'll be interesting to see if he can maybe get something, maybe do something, and maybe try to get that lead from Cannizzaro. This one's already becoming the longest race of the season. I think usually most of the races are over in about, I want to say, an hour. I think this race has been going on for over that, an hour and 34 minutes. So already the longest race of the season, and we're not done quite yet. This race can still go on for a long time if we keep on getting cautions. Although at this point, I'm optimistic. I think that was our last caution. We're probably going to go the rest of the way under green.
Well, and leave it to the week that we have the Coke 600, the longest race on the NASCAR calendar. We have our longest race here on the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, presented by Stay Tuned Sports, the Fisher Disc Golf Bull Jet Charter 150 now here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway as we get inside 20 laps to go here. And yeah, all night long, Carlos, we've just seen the calamity of these drivers getting together, trying to stay off of each other, stay off the wall and everything like that. I'm listening to the scanner radio again, and possibly some controversy here. I know we don't like to speculate too much up here in the booth, but possibly some controversy with some wall riding again. And that's kind of been one of the stories we've been following all night long, as well as these drivers, it's kind of hard to say if they actually are wall riding or if they're just getting into the wall. I think it's more of the latter, knowing how hard it is to control these trucks here on this dirt surface. What about you, Carlos?
It's definitely been a long night. It'll be something that the admins and the drivers are going to be discussing about. There's always been issues with dirt races, not just in this league, but at least as far as I can tell, in every league on broadcasters, there's always been issues with dirt races. Just being a little bit of a mess. I'm not saying this one's too much of that. It's still under control. Yeah, it's been brutal. You mentioned the Coke 600 being the longest of the week. I had to broadcast a 100% 600-mile race on Saturday, so that beat me out. And then I saw the actual 600 race, and I gotta say, there's too much racing for me.
Yeah, God bless you, sir, and thank you for your service. Not military service, obviously, thanks to the men and women who have served our country and our armed forces, as we paid respect to them on Memorial Day. As we go back, green flag racing here. Cannizzaro again going to be out to the lead early, and looks like had maybe a little bit of a trouble on the start there. I'm not sure who that was. I think it was possibly JT Poole, but Jason Gracias able to work his way up into P2 now.
Sorry about that. I had to take care of a small family issue. Usually these races don't last too long, so yeah, they were wondering what was going on. Why am I yelling in my room? I'm usually the guy who just hangs out in the back, doesn't really talk too much. Unfortunately, we are down a couple men, and Ian was able to hop on in here and talk with his mouth there for a little bit. So thankfully you had him. Otherwise, it would have just been probably a silent broadcast because I am not a commentator.
That's something that we should maybe try to, like a black and white broadcast with, like the old-timey silent film cards. That would be kind of interesting.
That does not work. It does not work. We've tried that before. It does not work.
All right, okay. It sounds like you're speaking from experience,
I am
Carlos, and I know
speaking
you
from
have more
experience.
experience on the production truck than I do, so that's pretty funny, actually. You know, watching the 90 here of Scott Crump, it looks like some of those connection issues have kind of worked themselves out a little bit now. I don't want to jinx him or anything like that, but we haven't seen his truck flashing here in a little while, so good for him that he's able to get the connection stabilized again. That's really not fun when you're a driver. If you haven't drove on the iRacing surface, the best part about flashing is that you don't see really flashing. You might see the other
Can we
drivers
call it
flash out a
blinking?
little.
Because flashing usually implies something else.
Ah, that's a good point. Very good point. We're trying to keep this broadcast PG-13 as we possibly can. So yes, blinking here on the iRacing surface. Really unfortunate as a driver because you might see the other cars blink out for a little bit, but everybody else on the track sees you blinking, and it makes it so hard if you're a driver trying to race a car that is blinking, because you don't really know where they're at, and all of a sudden they could blink right in front of you, and all of a sudden there's an incident there because of that. So that is why they have it written into the rule book. If you continue to have connections issues, unfortunately, you have to be removed from the race just to make sure that it's fair for everybody else out there. As we see a battle here now between the 1 of Jason Gracias and the 26 of JT Poole. JT Poole, as we mentioned earlier, able to work his way all the way back up to the lead lap and now battling for a podium position. But really, it's been all John Cannizzaro at the front of this race, but all of these podium positions have kind of swapped hands between all of our drivers. Carlos, as we a slide job here from the 26, not going to work out. The one's going to be able to go back down to the bottom. But yeah, we've seen that happen all night long, Carlos's. Those 2 and 3 spots have been switching hands.
Yeah, this race start has actually been proven very chaotic in a good way. We finally have action going on as there's been battles for second and battles for fourth. As you see, the 1 and the 26 trading places. We also see the 17 and the 90 trading places and trading paints against themselves. And the walls. The 90 overshoots the corner, makes contact with the 26. What a good job by the 26 if there was contact to save it. But that 90, all the time he gained there, driving it in there deep, he lost on the exit of the corner. He lost that spot to the 90. To the 1, I should say, and now he's lost even more ground to the 17. He smacks the outside while pancaking that side, as he's gonna lose some more time now. As like I said, these drivers are trading in spots left and right, and well, Canizzaro's looking back in his mirror and enjoying what he sees because those cars are getting smaller, the trucks are getting smaller, and the lap times. The lap counter is also getting smaller, which is something he also wants to see. We are now finally on single digits. As we're going to go 7 laps to go, this time by.
7 laps to go. John Cannizzaro still holding on to the lead and able now to put more time between here and the 1 of the Jason Gracias. We have yellow,
caution,
I think,
caution.
on the racetrack again.
Don't know what the caution is for. I'm not seeing anything.
Maybe, is it one of the, is it going to be possibly one of those NASCAR circa 2006?
18.
Oh, yeah, 18's in the wall there. That's exactly what it was. I thought maybe we were seeing a NASCAR circa 2008 debris caution, but no, that's 18.
Not sure why he didn't register as crashed on my SDK. That's usually how I can tell who brought out what. But yeah, 18 goes around, and I'm assuming that's when the caution came out, when he tried to get back on field. We saw this happen earlier. I don't remember who was the truck that did it earlier, but I'm sure that both of those trucks are going to get steady warnings from race control at the end of this race saying, hey, if you spin out and you're in pit road, you got to go through pit road. You can't back it up and try to loop it around. As I'm sure race control is going to get on the 18 and the truck that did that earlier in the race. I can't remember what truck that was. Because now that's 2 cautions this race where there probably wouldn't have been a caution, but the driver decided to try to loop it back around from pit road to get back out on track.
Yeah, and unfortunately there was another truck caught up in that as well. I'm not exactly sure who that other truck was that was caught up in all, but that's why, you know, coming back onto the track like that is so frowned upon because it can impact other drivers as well. And again, we're going to be down to another restart, and I believe the truck that did that earlier was the 20 truck of John Cannizzaro Sr., but I'm not entirely sure. Not trying to call anybody out there, but I believe that's the other truck that we saw do that earlier in the race. And yeah, like I said, I think those guys are just trying to get turned around. I don't think they're like trying to make the yellow come out, but
of course,
that's
yeah,
just what ends up happening. Yeah.
So caution is out. 7 laps to go here. 6 to go when we go back to green. Excuse me. It'll be a small shootout. The question is, can we stay green and finish this race? Or are we going to see a 16th caution?
I think we're probably going to see one more caution at least, especially with this is going to be, this is all the cards are out on the table here, and if you haven't gotten a spot yet, this is going to be one of your last positions to get a spot. So I think we're going to see some wild moves, especially if you're the driver on the inside. It's vital that you time this restart correctly and try to get something here to the 12 truck of Cannizzaro, or else you're going to be out of time, because as soon as he gets out in front, it's just game over.
Do you think Gracias, maybe Pool, do they have anything on the restart, or is this kind of locked and done there for the 12?
I don't think I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am, but I don't remember Gracias being on the inside here. So it'll be interesting to see what Gracias does when we go back to green flag racing. I mean, you gotta send it. You gotta lick the stamp and send it. That's the only way you're gonna be able to make the pass on Cannizzaro. Now, passing him is one thing, holding him off is going to be another thing.
But one just took off.
Well, that is one way to get in front of Cannizzaro as well, is to just drive away from everybody else. So that
By the way, I also want to point out, we did have one to go, but the admins extended it 1 lap. Not sure why, though.
I think that was to fix possibly, I think from what I'm listening here on the race control scanner, is they had a little bit of an issue with issuing the lucky dog, so I think they gave one more lap so that Kevin Powder could get back on the lead lap, since he missed the lucky dog last time
around. Right, well, that's anyway, we should want to go this time by. Remember, caution laps do not count. That's why you see the ticker counting down and going back up, going from 6 to go to 7 to go, and then vice versa. So this time by, though, once they go take the green, it'll be 6 to go, I should say. So for a single file restart, how is this going to change everything as the 12 gets a massive run? 26, that's a black flag from the 26. If he actually stayed ahead of the 1, he passed him on the inside. That's a big no-no on single file restarts. Even on double file restarts, you can't do that. So I expect the 26 to be pleading his case, trying to get that black flag cleared, but I'm not sure how the officials are going to react to that, but that 26 definitely passed that 1 there on the restart on the inside lane. So I'm expecting a black flag pit stop for that 26 JT Pool.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate for Pool, because what happened there was just Gracias and the 1 truck kind of spun his tires there, and then JT Pool had nowhere to go except for into the back of Gracias, and of course he's not going to do that. So unfortunately, I think that we are going to be... Yep, we're going to see a black flag here for the 26. And really, I don't think that was him trying to get too much of an advantage. I think that the 1 was just had a hard start there, and then, the 26 had nowhere to go, unfortunately. So that's probably going to end his night. He's going to pull down in the pit lane, and that's going to make life easier for John Cannizzaro Jr., where Jason Gracias getting a bad restart, and then also having to fend off the attack from the inside where the driver is ultimately black flag, really just plays into the hands of the 12 truck.
And I'm sure that was a risk that the 26 knew. He knew that he could either back off and let the 1 kind of get back in front of him, or he could probably hope that maybe he just timed it perfectly enough where he can stay behind him until he crosses the line, and then be able to clear him into the corner with the momentum he has. Unfortunately, that gamble did not pay off. Got a black flag. Not sure if he even attempted to plead his case, but we know that if he did, it did not result in a victory, because he slowed down a couple laps later, went down Pier Road, as we are finally on the white flag. Wow, I didn't even notice. Last time I checked, there was 4 to go. So 1 lap to go. I'm going to let you finish this one off.
1 lap to go, and John Cannizzaro Jr., he's going to be the first driver to go back-to-back, and the second driver all season to win 2 races in the season. John Cannizzaro Jr. wins at Bristol.
And the 90 and the 1 just made contact with the 1 spinning out. Hasn't even crossed the line yet. as Gracias went from finishing second to finishing in fifth place outside the podium.
And just a dominating effort all night long from John Cannizzaro Jr. He is the king of dirt track racing when it comes to the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, and he showed that here tonight. He was trying to give tips all week long to all of these other drivers and say, hey, guys, this is how you drive on dirt. But, this is how you drive on dirt is what John Cannizzaro said, and that's why you're seeing doing burnouts here now in Victory Lane.
It's nice to see that 26 did come back out and finish this race. I know most people would have probably just parked it there knowing that their race was done. But the fact that he went out there, served his penalty, probably tells me that he accepted the mistake he did and isn't holding it out on the admins and went out and finished this race. That's always what you want to see from a driver. Going out there telling the 12 congratulations, as the 12 is going out there trying to do burnouts, although it's a little hard to do, especially when the front wheels are all locked up because of the dirt. But enjoy that victory, number 12. Definitely deserved it. And hell of a night for everybody out there involved. Lots of good runs. Of course, it's sloppy, but of course, dirt is going to be sloppy. That's what you want from it. And long night, so these guys have a lot to think about. But we're going to be going out next week to Lime Rock, where, unless something really goes wrong, we're going to have ourselves a very quick race.
Yeah, very quick race. We're going to have local yellows there as we see Cannizzaro Jr. stop here on the start-finish line and then disappear from existence. That's an interesting tactic here as we take a look at our final results. Of course, John Cannizzaro Jr., your winner here tonight from Bristol. Scott Crump in the 90 truck going to come in the P2 position, and really good run from him with the connection issues all night long. Tristan Thuggy Maher in third, Jeff Price in fourth in the 14th truck. Jason Gracias, unfortunately, was in that late race spin. He's going to end up finishing P number 5. Kevin Powder in the 06 truck finishes in 6th position. Good continuity there. JT Poole in 7th after running up front so many times of the day. And those are all the drivers that have finished on the lead lap. Cody Sandlin, John Cannizzaro Sr., Mr. Andrew Beach, John Eckhart the 4th, Mike Floppy Tellier, Adam Williams, and Good Jimbo from Team Hire Me, please. Somebody please hire that man. Rounds out the rest of your field. So a very interesting race here tonight, Carlos, from the Bristol dirt track, the Bull Jet Charter Fisher Disc Golf 150 presented by Stay Tuned Sports. An exciting race from start to finish. Kind of a hectic race, as we kind of mentioned earlier, but really just from start to finish, these drivers gave it everything they possibly could. Tried to run the inside, tried to run the outside, tried to throw slide jobs all night long, but ultimately not enough, and they could not catch up with John Cannizzaro Jr. And I believe we're standing by with him now, Carlos. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have him down in victory lane ready for an interview.
Yep, and I'm gonna let you handle the interviews while I go settle a couple things. But it looks like we are gonna be passing this on to the local news here very soon, as we're running late on time. So we're gonna go do a couple quick interviews, interview the winners, interview a couple second and third place finishers, and then call it a night.
Yes, sir. And if you could go ahead and get the patch in for Mr. Cannizzaro there. I am yes, and we're standing by now at Victory Lane with John Cannizzaro Jr. And John, you said it yourself earlier today in the chat that you happen to be the expert of racing trucks here on dirt, and not to give you a hard time or anything like that, but you definitely proved it there tonight. Now, all night long, we watched you on the restarts just get such jump. Was that just the outside lane, or was that something that you know from your years of dirt racing experience?
I don't know. Just that entire race, it seemed like the bottom just wasn't there at all, and the cushion just started growing to the point where you couldn't see the wall anymore. I think had JT not had any issues, it would have been a good battle, but I think he's burned the right front off too much. I know, shocking, we do have tire wear on dirt, ladies and gentlemen, but just saving tire and riding my line. We had the wall ride rule, and race control said I'm doing just fine. Wasn't touching the wall. I was just staying right off it. And if it's fast, it's fast. If it's not, it's not. And it was fast for me. I hooked it, and nobody could touch me. Say I have a big ego all you want, but I was untouchable today.
Well, when you are as untouchable as you were tonight and you win in such a dominating fashion, I think that is absolutely acceptable to have a little bit of that, maybe that winner's attitude or something like that. Now, as this race progressed longer and longer, there was so many cautions, so many restarts and everything like that. What was going through your mind? Were you worried at all at any point in the race where anybody may have had something for you?
JT definitely had something for me. Yeah, all practice, even last night and this morning we were running practice sessions. He was quick, and I guess just long run he couldn't do it, and he did run into a few issues. Got stuck a lot down due to something with Gracias, and I mean, it's other than that, I don't think anybody else really had too much. Maybe a few on the restarts, but 78 was up there for a little bit. Too aggressive, couldn't do it, and I just came out the front.
Yeah, the 78 truck unfortunately black flagged, and yeah, he was up there at the front battling with you as well. Now, you are pretty experienced racing these, on dirt here with the big block series that we also have on Total Nonstop Racing. What are some of the differences? What are some of the similarities between this Craftsman, or I'm sorry, this Camping World Truck Series truck, and then also the big block modified?
For one, the big block has about 1,000 horsepower. These don't. They're also built for dirt. They don't have the same suspension. They don't drive the same. They don't act the same, and they wear the track down differently. Just nothing really transfers over like everybody says. And maybe the knowledge and the experience of knowing what to do, but actually driving it doesn't. Like you have like Jason Gracias. He's not that good of a dirt guy, not being mean, but he still ran up there. It's just whoever can put the most practice in, whoever can get the most knowledge out of their practice and qualifying runs, and just whoever can get it smoothly to the finish.
And smoothly to the finish, you did get it tonight. Good enough for the race win. Anybody you want to shout out to help you get that win done there, John?
Stay tuned sports obviously slapped across the side of the truck. He did good today. We helped him in practice a little bit. Fortunately, didn't go his way, had to pull off, but he's improving. We're always glad to see the sponsor on track with us. OCFS Burnout Nationals. Check them out on Instagram. Do awesome shows there. This coming Thursday and mostly on Fridays. Sim Shots Racing, obviously JT and my father both had good days. Just ended terribly for him. Glad to see my father improving too. He's always been here for me if I get him on the racetrack, and he was fourth for a little bit. I'll give him that much. Other than that, just you guys for on the broadcast, TNR, all those guys for letting me run here and make a mistake.
Well, thanks a lot for taking some of your time after your win here to come talk to us, John. Go celebrate with your team.
Thank you.
And that was John Canizaro Jr., your winner here tonight in the Bolt Chet Charter Fisher Disc Golf 150. And as he said, Carlos, he didn't really think anybody besides possibly JT Poole had much for him today. And even though that being said, with the connection issues all night long and everything like that, we saw Scott Crump get his way all the way up to P2. And I believe that we're standing by with him now. A little bit of technical difficulties there, maybe some trouble getting the headset. There he is. We got Scott Crump in the booth here. Finished P2 in the 90 truck. Scott, I know you were battling some connection issues all night long. Did that have any effect for you on the racetrack?
Oh, I didn't even know I was I?
Yeah, we were blinking quite a bit there, and we were kind of talking in the booth here. We were worried about you because you had such a good run. We didn't want to see you get taken out for connection issues. But I guess that kind of answers my question. There is you didn't really have anything on your side that really messed with you at all. Now, you're chasing Guy Canizaro Jr. all night long, and a couple of times there you were able to get to the inside of him, just weren't able to get the pass done. What was it tonight that was just made it so hard to pass him?
I think the biggest thing was restarts. He was really good at getting a good jump and stuff. So then I had to battle with the guys behind me, try and get by me. Um, just slide job and try and get by me and bang into me. So I don't know. It's just he would have been tough to beat either way. He was pretty strong using that top.
Yeah, and the top line it seemed to be the preferred night all night long. So talk a little bit about that. I know you made a few passes down to the inside, and Carlos and I were kind of talking about it during the broadcast. Was there really any grip down there at the bottom, or was the only way you're going to hold up being running that top line all day?
There was a little bit of grip down there. You could really do a slider, but you just lose so much momentum and speed. The guys either got to run the back of you or go underneath of you. So really the only time you want to run the bottom is for a slider, slide up in front of somebody and get position.
And of course, your run tonight was able to bring you home in P2. But I actually want to ask you a little bit about next week. We go from the Bristol dirt track back to a road course at Lime Rock Park. What are your thoughts going into Lime Rock for next week?
Well, I'm not much of a road course person, but I ran Lime Rock once before. I did all right with it, but definitely wasn't the fastest out there.
Well, you surely were one of the fastest tonight. You're able to come home P2, only 2 seconds behind John Canizaro Jr., and I think that's pretty good given the circumstances, and able to keep the truck clean all night long. Anybody you want to shout out that helped you get to that P2 spot?
Shout out to Jimbo and Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Shout out to you, Carlos, for 3Y TV. Y'all do an awesome job. Shout out to Jason there at the end. Did a slide job. Kind of came together there out of 4 coming to the line or whatever. Just dirt track racing. Didn't mean to spin them. Just try to make a race out of it right there.
We appreciate you taking a few seconds to come up and talk to us tonight on the broadcast. Congratulations on your second place there, Scott.
All right, thank you.
We're almost done here tonight with the marathon race, Carlos, here at the Bolt Jet Charter Fisher Disc Golf 150, of course, presented as always by Stay Tuned Sports. We got one more interview left, and it's one of my fellow, I don't want to say countrymen because that's not the right word, what I guess statemen, but the Michigan native of Tristan Thuggy Maher, maybe not Michigan native, but I know he lives in Michigan now. Welcome into the 3Y TV booth, and man, what a race! What did you see from your point of view there, Tristan? And how were you able to navigate all that hectic traffic and get yourself to a P3 spot?
This race was wild. Obviously, this race comes down to, not everybody. We're mainly in asphalt league. This is probably going to be the only dirt track we go to this season with these trucks. So basically, it comes down, John Canizaro, super quick. He's a dirt guy. He's raced dirt, for a long time. I don't race dirt ever. This is probably the first time I've raced dirt for, since the last time I did a truck race at Bristol dirt, in a different league or something. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of got gifted the P3 there at the very end of the race when the 70, the 90 and the one made some contact there coming off of 4. So I got gifted the P3. It's unfortunate for my man Jason Gracias. He was running good. Wasn't very optimistic about this race, so he would have finished well. I'm proud of him. Yeah, this race was crazy. I mean, I had to figure it out. I didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning, and then probably about 75% into the race, I kind of figured out how to run the wall better. And that's literally where all the pace is when the entire track is just super slick.
And you, Tristan, also being from Michigan with me as well, we can kind of relate. And I don't know if you know this, Carlos, but our roads, pretty much all of our roads, are essentially just dirt roads. So maybe that helped you out a little bit tonight. Even the paved ones seem like they're dirt roads. Now, I do want to ask, about halfway through the race, there was a truck that spun right in front of you, and I remember I shouted you out on the broadcast and said that was an incredible save to not only miss the wreck, but to not overcorrect coming back the other way. What did you see from your point of view on that one?
I don't know. There was trucks all over the place. We were throwing slide jobs like crazy, and I was constantly on my toes. And you really have to get up on the wheel and drive these things around this track. Otherwise, people are just going to blow by you, or you're going to get caught off guard. I feel like you have to have even a little bit more situational awareness than running on like a regular asphalt track. Just because, on an asphalt track, things are a little bit more. I mean, yes, you're going faster speed-wise, but also things are a little bit more slow-paced as far as like on a dirt track, somebody could send it from super far back, try to do a slide job, so you just got to be aware of that kind of thing. As far as that wreck goes, I really can't remember. There were so many things going on in this race. I actually can't recall the one that you were talking about.
Oh well, that it was something else for sure. And you talked about your driving skill. That was good enough to get you up into the P3 position tonight. Anybody you want to shout out helps you get you done?
Yeah, obviously the league, TNR. If there's anybody watching who's interested in this league, look us up on Facebook. Join our Discord, Total Nonstop Racing, and you can get in on the action. Jason Grassi is my teammate. Mike Tellier, Garrett Gleason for letting us put on this show. G Money, and then you guys up in the booth. Obviously, you guys do a great job. I love going back and watching the broadcasts of every race.
Well, we appreciate it. And also, I think you're being way too nice to Garrett Gleason. Garrett Gleason is never nice to anybody when he's up in the booth here, and it's all in good fun, but you can't go that easy on him. So,
I did win my first race in NSRA when he wasn't around, so maybe he's just a bad luck charm.
there we go. There we go. There's a little bit of dogging on Garrett. We had to have at least some of it in there. Well, Tristan, thanks for taking some of your time up here in the 3Y TV booth to come talk with us, and congratulations on your third place finish.
Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. And Carlos, that's going to be about it from us here from the Bolt Jet Charter Fisher Disc Golf 150. Any closing thoughts from you, my friend?
I'm looking forward to next week. We're back to a road course, Lamrock Park. It's a track I've never broadcast before, so that's going to be a fun change of pace. Of course, it'll be a shorter broadcast than this week. And then we're back to some mobiles, so can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, on behalf of 3Y TV, I just want to say a quick thank you to you, Carlos, for having me in the booth, and then also Bob Giaquinto and Garrett Gleason for not being here tonight to give me this opportunity from the bottom of my heart. I really do want to say thank you for the opportunity to call this race for you guys tonight. So thanks to everybody that watched for tuning into 3Y TV's coverage of the Tuesday night Thunder Trucks Fisher Disc Golf Bolt Jet Charters 150 presented by Stay Tuned Sports. And we hope that you'll join us again next week as we head to the virtual twists and turns of Lime Rock Park.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.